OBS everything is on, yeah.
Okay. Assalamu alaikum everyone. Welcome to our channel. This is our weekly Tafseer and Q&A. We're on the 245th session. The date is the 26th of July 2026. The format will be Tafseer, followed by Q&A, followed by a Palestine update, which will be on Rumble. It'll be able for you to view on Zoom in real time, or later on it will be uploaded to Rumble. Before we start off, a couple of one or two announcements for this week. Firstly, tomorrow, as always, the Accounting the Rulers Halaqah at 8 p.m. Next week will be question answers, full question answers and Palestine update. So anything that gets missed out, we can cover on there. Also, we have a two-part video releasing tomorrow. This is a recent video, so it was filmed a couple of weeks ago, and it's in response to debate or discussion between Adnan Rashid and Mohammed Hijab. So the format of the video was around the issue of allegiance, allying with Shia against Israel, and a lot was unearthed there. A lot of misconceptions. We've only managed to do a first part. I mean, realistically, we can probably do about 6 videos out of it. The amount of material that was in there, some of it nonsensical on the part of Adnan Rashid. And there's also, it's worth making a commentary on it right now as well. And it's as follows. Often the people of the Wahhabi ilk develop an obsession when it comes to sectarianism. And it manifests in many ways, and it's weaponized by governments. Right now, the Munafiqeen, who have openly allied with Kuffar against Muslims wholesale, you don't even need to specify a region. It's against Sudan, it's against Palestine, it's against Iran, it's against anyone that they so choose. They have done the kufr of allying with Kuffar against Muslims. This started when American bases were allowed on Muslim lands. Obviously, in history, there's been numerous other instances, but in living memory, in something that is done so blatantly, was in the late 80s, early 90s, with the allowing of troops on Muslim lands. And the same ridiculous arguments were used then and are being resurfaced now. Its history repeats itself, just as, you know, the Khawarij are re-emerge every so often. The arguments that they rely on are being weaponized right now. So Adnan Rashid has this obsession with sectarianism when the enemy is conspicuously in front of you. Conspicuous to the extent, just today, he made a tweet on Karim Khan, who's the ICC prosecutor, being deposed by the Zionists for the favor of the Zionists, and he made a connection with him being a Qadiani, as if that makes any difference in this regard. As far as if it was the amazing Francesca Albanese who was deposed, we would oppose the action of deposing her because she took a stand on principles. But immediately, in this ridiculous worldview of Adnan, everything is framed behind sectarianism. And the thing about sectarianism is it's used to divide us or to become a smokescreen or a divisionary tactic, or basically it's a red herring. Because if you're saying a state as an incumbent with all the vehicles and apparatuses of a state can be offset by a small subsection, that's just nonsensical. You will have people trying to exert overwhelming influence. However, if your incumbent is already nefarious, so for example, if you take Pakistani and the Qadianis, we know they're not Muslims. It's obvious. However, the amount that they influence is not going to be proportionate to the ones who openly collided with the Americans, and that's the Pakistani establishment. If you don't say a word about the Pakistani establishment, whereas you overly fixate on one subsection, then that shows that you don't have a good grasping on reality. In the same manner, if you have the UAE and Al Saud openly collaborating with Israel, so UAE openly, in a sense, they provide R&R for the Zionists, and having a Patriot defense systems working there. And Saudi just not now agreeing to normalization in principle. If that's your fixation, while if this your fixation is with Shia while ignoring the obvious, conspicuous in the room, you're either retarded, genuinely retarded, or have, as I call it, the Wahhabotomy, that your mind is completely overwhelmed by this sectarian bias, or you're nefarious. So take your pick. Take your pick, oh sycophants of Adnan Rashid, or Adnan Rashid yourself. Take your pick. Is the pen lifted from you, or are you just nefarious? So we need to ask these questions. These questions must be asked in the same way 30 years ago we asked the question to the Saudi Salafis, as we called them, the Fahadis, the ones who were brown-nosing King Fahd. In the same way, we ask the question today, while the wolves have gathered around us, now is your opportunity to start to call out sectarianism while ignoring the elephant, the American bases on our lands. Where does that put you? You are a liability. Your creed, your weaponized creed of Wahhabism is a liability for this ummah. And our material is a thing that's going to take the sting out of it, because you rely on selective reading of hadith. You rely on not even going to Quran for many of your arguments. We do. And we've got your number, and you will be dissected point for point, letter by letter, line by line, chapter after chapter. Anyway, on to today's section. Again, to reiterate, the date is the 26th of July 2026. This is our 245th Tafseer session. We are on Surah Al-Rum, on Ayah 40, and I will recite the verse, and then the professor will give the translation. The professor will give the explanation, inshallah.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim.
الله الذي خلقكم ثم رزقكم ثم يميتكم ثم يحييكم هل من شركائكم من يفعل من ذلكم من شيء سبحانه وتعالى أما يشركون. First translation: Allah is the one who created you, then he provided for you, then he will cause you to die, then he will give you life. Is there any of your partners who does any of that, who does of that anything? Glory be to him, and exalted is he above what they associate. Just going to second translation in a second. It is God who created you, then provided for you, who will cause you to die, and then will give you life again. Can any of you or your partners do any of those things? May he be exalted in his glory and high above anything they associate with him.
So this ayah is unique that it mentioned four things, which with exception will be Isa ibn Maryam, but we'll discuss that a bit later. Nobody of the mushrikeen attributed to another deity beside Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the one who have partners, obviously. That's usually attributed to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Not to anybody else, even those who have sons and daughters who are submissive to their father and obedient and so on, who have intercession, those who satanic entities who can run away from Allah and undermine some of his work. None has said ever that any of these entities created us. Yeah, they say the devil and the satanic entities created evil, with obscure meaning what created evil means in the first place. But this is down to the human beings, created you. Allah alladhi khalaqakum, O human, you address you. Nobody, even the Satanists, attribute the creation of man to the devil. That's the opposite of that. And then provide for you the whole growth, the whole development from the initial creation. If you say created, meaning the initial creation of the whole universe, which is the starting point, then all the development, whatever we talk about evolution, is it guided, not guided? Most likely this is just a semantic play. Guided, not guided, is most like it's a semantic wording. It doesn't make much difference. Evolution must be necessarily guided from the starting point by the initial conditions. Or some people would be reminding that there's certain mutations which seem to be inconceivable to attribute to except to a direct action of the divine, which we cannot see maybe if we are present, but it's somehow in the background. Like, for example, the the amazing situation that humans, maybe also Neanderthal and a few other subspecies or races of the original humans, seems to be have emerged suddenly by joining chromosome 2 and 3 of the great apes, which have 48 chromosomes. 2 and 3 merged together in the number 2 of humans, which shows clearly the merging. And thus we have 46. This seems to be impossible to conceive that it has been gradually. It must be, and this mutation is so complex that no natural process can seem to be. But by the way, if you look at the books of evolution, they pass on this fact as if they are blind. And I told someone who was discussing with me, he's the medical doctor, go and check with all evolutionists if they have an answer to this. How can this happen almost in a sudden time? And it has to happen to some male and female, otherwise they cannot reproduce. There's no way. It has to happen simultaneously, at least to one female and to one male. It's almost inconceivable this without a direct divine action. The people at the time could not see it. They have just odd children, the poor big apes, and they are not capable of language, they're not capable of rational thinking yet, basic thinking maybe, or basic instinctive thinking or recognition, and suddenly they have odd kids who are completely different, and they cannot communicate with them, and these guys can talk and so on. Anyway, it looks simply impossible. But independent of that, I'm not going to address that. So this is what means what created you. Does it mean the initial creation of the whole universe who kickstarted everything, or the creation of man, which is this mutation, the current man? The other branches, luckily or unluckily, they're extinct. So we cannot be 100% sure that we meet with the Neanderthals, the common father, or they're part of coming from Adam. Until now, all genetic research have shown that all existing humans on Earth, all without exception, do go back to one father and one mother. This is a fact, well established now, with certitude. They call it DNA Eve and DNA Adam. Are they the one mentioned in the scripture? You may discuss. Maybe the one in the scripture are lower because there's another meeting point, seems to be 70,000 years. But all definitely meet at these genetic Adam and so on. If we follow the Y DNA, the female DNA meets area and meets again. So, but it's irrelevant. There's one, no doubt about that. Ultimately, 250,000 years ago, and possibly maybe 70,000. But this is maybe a bit contentious. So that's a fact. Is that this joining of the chromosomes? Whatever you want to wish. I don't worry about that. Nobody attributes this process or any process similar to anybody except Allah. Neither to the devil nor anybody else. It's out of question. That's out of question. And then so what the ayah says, خلقكم ثم, read it to me again. He created you.
الذي خلقكم ثم رزقكم.
He provided for you. Obviously, clearly, nobody attributes the whole reality to be coming from somebody else. That's the reality. We have trees, we have other animals we can consume, all of that. That's part of the sustenance, part of the support. And then after you have grown out of age, or maybe before by accident, you die. Okay. And obviously, the death is written in the genes. Although life can be extended maybe to 150, but no way to extend it ad infinity with all genetic tricks. And it is even the case of accident, all the conditions of the accidents fit together by Allah's design. So he's the one who caused death in that sense. And then he is the one, nobody discussed that ever, because most pagans did not believe in resurrection. He will resurrect you again. Although some pagans believe in some kind of spiritual coming again. Who is done? Obviously by the creator of the universe. It cannot be done by idols, so on and so on. For them, it is for pagans, like if you look at the stories of the Romans and the Greek, it is the moment you pass away, something called your spirit become free and goes. So the spirit never dies, but is not realized in a body yet. There's various theories about incarnation. Anyway, nobody will believe otherwise. There's one exception, is that in the case of Isa, because they lifted him to a divine level, and they started exaggerating and dishonoring them, thinking they're honoring him for more and more. They rejected to call him servant, not all of actually the Pauline faction, not the Jacobian, that's the brother of Christ faction, but it's a complicated history. That other faction essentially faction is extinct, and also or as a Catholic what's it called, catechism or something, acknowledge that this direction merged with Islam later. Okay, leave this aside. The others all are Pauline in some sense or another. All of them acknowledge Pauline, Paul, and he insists that he's full human, but he embodied the full Godhead. Make this word whatever you want. He embodied the full Godhead, a very obscure word. And all the churches following that, the Docetic, all of these guys are following essentially Paul, but the Paul solution was not sufficient for them. So Marcion went to the level that the world is a creation of an evil entity, a demiurge, but the supreme God, the good one, the removed one far away, penetrated this and sent his son to save humans. Now, these humans, are they the creation of the demiurge, or they are some kind of singular type? He did not settle that question. It did not come in his mind, that question. So he is falling in that maybe in the category saying, it's not a good God who created you, but an evil one. And the evil one for Marcion is the one, or Marcion. Yeah. The evil one is the one who revealed the Old Testament. The Old Testament is the revelation of evil God. That's the Marcion solution of the nastiness of the Old Testament. But on the other hand, Paul refers to the Old Testament regarded as scripture, so he's stuck. Some other following Marcion solve the problem in the other correct way, more correct way. Say, no, this is corrupted. It's not original revelation. So they cancel that's the demiurge. Anyway, that's coming from exaggerating with Isa and so on, and refusing to call him a servant or slave of Allah, and making him getting up and up. The first two generations were essentially subordination, meaning he is still lower than God, and like for example, Justin Martyr says there was a time between Isa emerging and God said that he's preceded by time. So strictly speaking, he is not necessarily existing. He's created in time, but he functions as the tool of creation. He's the word of God. And the word is essentially the tool of creation. It happens, it be. So essentially, the word does not create. Allah is the creator, but the tool is be command, the divine command, which is where she creates infinite contradiction if you make it not necessarily existing. It will lead to infinite regrets and these problems. But people were not sophisticated enough at that time to go. And then the two camps were fighting until the beginning of the 4th century. And then in the Nicene Creed, the first part of it, the other part was completed in Constantinople, 380 something. That in 325, the majority, maybe a manipulated majority, I'm not going to go in these fine details of history, agreed with few votes extra that he is God from God, light from light, and is co-eternal with his Father, but somehow born from his Father, while the Holy Spirit is proceeded from the Father. Both words are obscure, do not make much sense, but that's the best I could agree upon in that. And then from that, now we've strict Trinity, and then we have by necessity essentially Isa is God, and God is Isa in some sense, of the same sort of divine substance, or the issue of divine substance is obscure and contradicting and necessarily existing. All of these deep philosophical issues, but we could say maybe for Isa, with this construction of the Nicene Creed, with the Trinity, maybe this will make attribution of creation to Isa making sense. So it doesn't contradict this ayah. Because Isa is the Son of God and God at the same time. It's going infinite secret. You don't know what's going on there. That's the problem of Trinity, which never resolved until now. All the models present are internally contradictory. And most of them have been refuted formally correctly in the Stanford Encyclopedia of Philosophy. There's a section or a chapter called Trinity. Just go and read that. So with this exception of Isa and Maryam, which is an odd case out, developing from a prophecy, a prophethood who has lifted beyond its limits and created this nonsense, all others go to Hindu, it is not that an initiation of existence. All these other deities are essentially emerging later and then re-emerging and going a never-ending cycle. So it's a completely obscure magic word. It's not a rational. That's contradicting necessity of reason. You cannot argue for any one of them unless you accept that contradiction are possible. That's that something exists and doesn't exist at the same time. Or something is himself itself, but not himself at the same time. The principle of identity. And if you, then reason is gone. No reason. You are then in a magic world. Everything can happen. And nothing can happen. You cannot talk even. That's it. The alternative is obviously the two ways. There's a necessity existing, acting by sovereign free will, and the necessity existing entity, which acts by necessity. And analyzing the other one shows clearly that's internally contradictory. It cannot work this way. So it remains only the proof of God, the correct proof of God. We have hints of that in the book of Tawheed, because we don't want to go very deep in these issues, but give it a touch. Okay, so this ayah is comprehensive. Who is the one doing? Anyone of your partner does that or has? None, except maybe someone, Isa. But Isa for you is God and son of God, and part of God, not part of God, because God has no parts by your admission. So an impossible situation to understand. Any other one which has any way of explanation, any model of presentation, results that there's a fundamental entity which have these 3 or 4 items for it. The others are secondary in some sense or another. Some are sons without being fully equal and co-eternal with their father, son and daughters. The others, for example, maybe like an original entity which is somehow eternal with no beginning is called Brahmana, not Brahman, Brahmana. And from this Brahmana, Brahma, Vishnu, Shiva emerged, for example. And then they disappear after long cycle, and then again they re-emerge. How they emerge, nobody in Hindus discuss that. This is the model of a never-ending circular universe, which is impossible. It can be proven to be impossible. But the famous physicist, what's his name? His name would come in my mind. Argues it's called conformal universe. In attempt to escape that there's a beginning at a Big Bang. If there's a beginning, you're stuck. You have to admit there's a divine being, the genuine sense. So he said, no, the Big Bang is not a first thing. As there was a Big Bang before, and before one without any beginning. And that is contradiction. It doesn't solve the problem. But Penrose, that's Professor Penrose. He's still alive in Oxford. He got Nobel Prize for other works, not especially for this gravitation. So he tried to solve the problem of how everything began at a Big Bang. And it went in this irrational, never-ending circularity. Okay. So this ayah is very significant in it's showing that at least these 3 or 4 items are exclusively by all human beings, say with a small semi-exception of Isa and so on, they are never allocated to anybody except Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Never ever. All the other partners have some deficiencies, some aspects and so on, but they can still be divine in this. They can challenge Allah, they can mess up his work, but they can never create the universe from arbitrary origin. Mark Kuhn is really an odd guy out, and dualism, who claims that the devil is also co-eternal Allah, is an odd way out. Because in that case, the devil does not create anything anyway. He just undermines the act of Allah. But since he is co-eternal, his power must be unlimited. So they will block each other and nothing will emerge. So that's the standard argument, which is compelling for the system of reason. So they restored ultimately to a devil who is a minor god, who can mess up but cannot initiate anything. You wait for the other one to initiate and then he messes a bit up. That's the way they try to explain the so-called evil and the suffering in the universe, which doesn't explain shit. It collapses also. Yeah, okay. So next ayah. I'll just show you there's hints how this can be developed philosophically and theologically. But if you do it properly, not improper. Yeah. Next.
ظهر الفساد في البحر والبحر بما كسبت أيدي الناس ليذيقهم بعد الذي عملوا لعلهم يرجعون. Since they have become oblivious of God, corruption has appeared on land and in the sea as an outcome of what men's hands have wrought. And so he will let them taste the evil of some of their doings so that they might return to the right path.
Yeah.
Next translation. Corruption has appeared throughout the land as a result of people's actions, so he will make them taste the consequences of some of their actions so that perhaps they will return to righteousness.
First of all, I remind you that corruption, fasad, mentioned the Quran, meaning bloodshed, meaning rape, meaning violent action. Does not mean that the mountain collapses in the sea and causes tsunami. That's something else. So that fasad, bloodshed, raping, piracy, all of these things, at the United States of America at the moment, all of that has emerged in the land and the sea. You see it everywhere. Just look at the Caribbean, flexing muscle against the poor fisher. Even if they drug smuggler, it's not the way to deal with them. It's not the correct way to do. It's to apprehend them, take them to court, and manage the things properly. Anyway, that this corruption is here, this bloodshed, it does not come. Obviously, the system of the universe created by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. But this corruption, this type of corruption, which most people lament about that, is because of the deeds of humans who created that by their own free will. And Allah allows it in the creative sense, not in the legislative sense, allowed to emerge so that the people are punished and reminded to wake up. If ever wake up. Some people wake up and recognize, oh, all of this is because of my own mischief. I must have started that some way. Let me dig. Let me look in the mirror and do source searching. I cannot continue being arrogant and looking up as a sovereign. No, it's not. Or shift the blame on Allah. Oh, this is how the universe works. Nothing can. I am not responsible. I don't have enough free will to control that. No, you have enough to prevent that from happening, but you did not do it. You are negligent of your duty. Then you lower yourself to Allah. And then if you do that, and all the people who are involved in creating this, causing this facade to emerge, if they are the overwhelming majority who have, especially the one in power, recognize that, then the facade will disappear. It's gone. But you have to go to the root. It needs some effort, or trusting the revelation and following with it. Oh, that's simple. Nothing more to be done. So that's part answer of the issue with the people called suffering and evil and so on. No. Yeah, it cannot happen in the world without Allah creative permission. Otherwise, it would never emerge because it is absolute creative dominance, but not with his legislative will and permission. His legislative will is connected to human activity. They can listen and obey, and you can disobey. And then they have to suffer the results. Next. So this is a answer, most important part of answer, what happened in the universe, which people regard as evil or corruption and so on, with the correct definition of corruption, is usually the main issue of qadar. How come that there's evil in the world? What do you mean with evil first? What's fasad? We have separated something which cosmic order requires, because the universe is chosen this way. So it can support free will, can support this. Then inevitably it has to have volcanoes. It cannot. This one will develop without this. It has to be. You make the fundamental. That's a creative choice. That's the most important part of qadar. Secondly, the universe is established with this fundamental choice, with being of have free will. Then all other type of fasad is the result of the being of ignoring the divine commands. So, and the first one has to be analyzed further, connected with the purpose of creating this, if it has any purpose, and why Allah showed that. That's the deep issue. Definitely has to be addressed. Not run away from it. No. It's called the problem of suffering. You have to face it. The Quran gives you all the keys for the answer, because it's a deep issue. So it will not be one eyed with that. And the other type, that's the key. That's you. That's you. You are responsible for that, provided we define fasad as it should be. The correct one. Next one.
قل سيروا في الأرض فانظروا كيف كان عاقبة الذين من قبل كان أكثرهم مشركين. Say, go all over the earth and behold what happened in the end to those sinners who lived before you. Most of them were wont to ascribe divine qualities to things or beings other than Allah. With
the result, their life and way of thinking is messed up, and they they do not do what morally right thing, etc., and but the commands have come, and then you see the mess up in society. But to see that, you cannot rely on some imaginary narration what happened to the children of Adam 100,000 years ago, based on some faulty narration. No, we have to go around on earth, look at the archaeology, try to study previous nations. If you are serious, if you are not serious, then nothing. No, nobody can help you. You have to do it a serious way. Go around on earth. Check it by yourself. Go check archaeology. These details. So you see the details, the life history. This is a long job for the nation, not only for a single person. Do that, then sooner or later you will come to recognize what the result of shirk will be. Especially shirk of hakimiyya and so on, and the sovereignty of Allah. Then you tyrants issuing instruction according to desire. These here, monks and scribes and scholars who claim to be scholars, cooperating with tyrants to get money, etc. And then you have all of this resulting, maybe not immediately, maybe next generation, but if you study previous nations, you will see what's going on.
Second translation is, they traveled through the land and observed the final fate of those who came before. Most of them were idolaters.
Yeah.
Next ayah. فأقم وجهك للدين القيم من قبل أن يأتي يوم لا مرد له من الله يومئذ يصدعون.
Translate.
Set then thy faith towards the one ever true faith. There come a day of reckoning, the day which cannot be averted. On that day, all will be surrendered. Next translation. So stand firm in your devotion to the upright religion before a day comes from God that no one can stop. On that day, they will be broken.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So the meaning is clear. So stick to the proper direction before you are surprised with a day coming from Allah nobody can avoid, and that all the people will be divided and broken in various factions. The righteous, the not righteous, the various sinners, and so on. And all will be treated appropriately according to what they have done, with their free will, with their responsibility. Mm-hmm. Next ayah.
من كفر فعليه كفره ومن عمل صالحا فلأنفسهم يمحدون. He who has denied the truth will have to bear the burden of his denial, whereas all who did what is right and just will have made goodly provision for themselves.
For themselves. Meaning, yeah, next translation will be similar.
Whoever denies the truth, his denial is against him, and whoever does good deeds, they are preparing the way for themselves.
For themselves. So that's exactly what Musa told his people. إن تكفروا أنتم ومن في الأرض جميعا فإن الله غني. Even if all of you, they were troubling them, making his life miserable. If you deny the truth, if you reject Allah and his messengers, fine. But you think you harm Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala this way. No, you are harming all yourself. And even if all humanity will embrace kufr, it will not take a dot from Allah's glory and kingdom. Nothing. You are just destroying yourself. That's it. And the opposite, if you do all this, it doesn't increase in Allah's kingdom anything. It's for yourself. It's completely for yourself. Okay. Allah is not gaining anything with that. And also, in response to some mushrikeen, they were saying, look at Muhammad. Muhammad is saying, these will be destroyed. Is Muhammad God? Not afraid that nobody is left to worship him, so he'll be alone and scared to be alone. So, فدمدم عليهم ربهم بذنب فسواها ولا خافوا عقباها. About previous nation, he destroyed them, and the Mushrikeen say, and he doesn't afraid of the results, obviously responding to these, because the issue of fear or not can be based only that you are deficient in power to protect yourself from what is fearful, and you are not knowledgeable ahead of the events, what they may result in. But both are known to Allah Ta'ala. The future events may be unknowable in themselves as action of free agents, but the possibilities are known. So Allah is not surprised suddenly. How come after he destroyed the people, nobody is there remaining? He knows very well what will happen after that. As categories, not as X will do this Y. So, okay. We discussed Qadar and so on many times and gave the evidences that the acts of X, Y, Z are known in eternity back is nonsense. But the various types may emerge when X, Y, Z is created. Yeah, perfectly fine. That's known, but does not make the events of the future, event by event, knowable by themselves. And we gave an example from the Quran. We don't know to go to deep philosophical discussion about the divine freedom, absolute freedom, and so on. Just look at from various ayahs in the Quran. Take the example, the one example, for example, when Allah said to Musa and Harun, اذهب إلى فرعون, go both of you to Fir'aun, فقول له قولا لينا لعله يذكر أو يخشى. Go to Fir'aun, talk to him gently to start with. Later they became harsh, but to start with, so he may remember Allah and become God-fearing. This possibility is still open. If you say the possibility is closed at that time completely, if you say that, the meaning Allah send them to an impossible mission, deceiving them bold-facedly, and then see what we think about Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. By the way, this is not what the Old Testament said. The Old Testament said, which is the Jabari background there, and the reason they want to fix this with this, and they say, he said to them, go to, I will harden his heart that he rejects. So why should it be that if you will harden his heart? Again, it doesn't solve the problem, but make it even worse. We'll show this one point where you must conclude by necessity of reason, this part is fabricated. That Allah hardened their heart later, so they cannot accept anymore. That's long after all miracles, all of that. Then Musa was completely out of breath and said, you gave Pharaoh and his elite wealth and money and so on. And the result is that they denying you, persecuting the messenger, killing our children, keeping male children, keeping women. So Musa supplicated, so close their hearts and tighten them so they will never accept the truth until they see the punishment. So he wants them to be punished now for the crime they have already done. And there doesn't seem to be there any hope in Musa's point of view. And Allah said, قَدْ أُجِيبَتْ دَعْوَتُكُمْ. Your supplication has been accepted now. Now, there. Not in Mount Sinai before. Maybe that's what the fabricator of this sentence in the Old Testament intended. Anyway, we don't care what the reason for fabrication is. A fabrication, putting it in that situation. Anyway, most likely to introduce Jabr, fatalism, and justify the kings, brutal kings of Israel and Judea. Majority of Judea are brutal. The kings of Israel are absolutely tyrants. Super criminals in human history. You go read just Kings 1, Kings 2, Chronicles 1, Chronicles 2. Your hair will stand up. You will look at even Hitler and Netanyahu and Trump as quite merciful relative to these guys. Go there and see. Yeah. So that's that. No. It is these idea that this is known from eternity is nonsensical, contradict the divine perfection and freedom. Anyway, this is discussed a little bit more in detail in the book of Tawheed, inshallah. Carry on, next ayah.
ليجزي الذين آمنوا وعملوا الصالحات من فضله إنه لا يحب الكافرين. So that he might reward out of his bounty those who have attained to faith and done righteous deeds. Verily, he does not love those who refuse to acknowledge the truth.
Yeah.
Next translation. So that he may reward out of his bounty those who have believed and done good deeds. He truly does not like the unbelievers.
Yeah. So it shows you one purpose of education, why he loves those, because he is the absolute truth and he loves the one who recognizes the truth. Although from the start, they have it ingrained in their psychology with the covenant of creation, yeah, no doubt. But by active act and active work, they recognize that. So recognize the truth is the ultimate, because he is the absolute. Recognize me as the absolute truth. That's the ultimate. That's the ultimate meaning of worship. Not standing and sacrificing. This is all secondary. These are just selfish acts of no relevance whatsoever. If they don't express this fundamental fact, that's come from the divine being who is the absolute truth. You understand the details, you don't understand it, but by necessitative reason, he's the absolute. All truths are there. I hate those they would embody that he is the full truth, absolute truth. That's it. If you recognize that, then you have really broke the barrier of non-recognition, and broke the barrier between instinctively led and controlled animal and someone who has given his destiny in his own hand, which is still for most humans, especially naturalists, and it's quite difficult. And you find even some people, this free will is just a deception, doesn't exist. It can't be. If nature is having necessary laws, how come that this emerged somehow? It doesn't help them. We perceive it, and then it's the onus on them to start. If someone comes this, the onus on you to prove that it is a deception, that the food I ate maybe 1 month ago, some bits of it is remaining in circulation in the blood and causing me to do that. I didn't choose free. This is so utterly nonsensical, but prove it. Show us. And all experience they have done in that direction backfired against them anyway. So there's some, what to do with that is that nature is not necessarily existing, and the law is not necessary. It's all contingent. It's the shows of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and we start this current nature to be so that it supports. How complex is the supporting of that, how it emerged in billions of years of evolution, that's a detail which I don't care about. But it is not coming for initiative or necessary existing being, necessity of nature, death, blind, the dead nature. No. It has came deliberately from a divine being who is comprehensive in knowledge in eternity and comprehensive in truthfulness. And have enough power to do it this way, which is it. It is there. There's no way except to accept it. I don't think it will be ever possible to connect connect this rationality and the free will with some people try to connect it that in quantum mechanics we have so-called indeterminism, intrinsic indeterminism. It's not a statistical indeterminism, it's intrinsic one. And based on that, if you gather trillions of bits with 10 to the 100, that's a big quad of connections, then somehow this is the attribute of emerge. Maybe it's emerged this way. Well, it doesn't matter. It's here. We know it is here. And may have emerged this way, maybe another way, we don't know. Okay, next.
ومن آياته أن يرسل الرياح مبشرات وليذيقكم من رحمته ولتجري الفلك بأمره ولتبتغوا من فضله ولعلكم تشكرون. For among his wonders is this: he sends forth his messages as he sends forth, that's in brackets, the winds that bear glad tidings, so that he might give you a taste of his grace, in brackets, through life-giving rains, and that ships might sail at his behest, and that you might go about in quest of some of his bounties, and that you might have cause to be grateful. Next translation. And of his signs is that he sends the winds bearing good news, to give you a taste of his mercy, and set ships to sail at his command, to enable you to seek his mercy and perhaps be thankful.
Okay, I think it's clear the meaning. Just if you comment on ships, someone tell you, because the total density is less than water, so they're floating low. Okay, thank you very much for the education. So that's the reason they don't sink. But first relate to the structure of the universe, the initial creation, also the same thing. Where did that come? Is that an absolute law for every possible universe? We don't know. But in this one, it is because that presetting. And we know also this universe, the water is having an oddity. When it freezes, when it becomes cold, almost every material otherwise, maybe a few exceptions, then to shrink. But water, in form of ice, is less dense, so it floats. Okay, we can measure that. I don't know what's the miraculous in that. Miraculous that if water, which is the main liquid, which in this universe support life, within oceans in cold times, and every rotating planet must come in hot phases and cold phases in the north and south, and sometimes it's eternal summer for millions of years, and sometimes it's almost millions of years of ice age. Then all ice will freeze and will go to the bottom, and all living in the ocean will be dead, perish. And then the other living, if they ever emerged and went up ever, then the result is clear. No life will remain. The first real real ice age will exterminate life. Look what you made out of that. You can describe what is now, but how it emerged and how it's connected to the basic constants of the universe. Go and try your luck. Spend your money. That's if someone becomes someone who is so stupid to think he has the solution. We know because the law of floating. Okay. Thank you very much for the education. Next ayah.
ولقد أرسلنا من قبلك رسلا إلى قومهم فجاءوهم بالبينات فانتقمنا من الذين أجرموا وكان حقا علينا نصر المؤمنين. And indeed, in brackets, O Muhammad, even before thee did we send forth apostles, each unto his own people, and they brought them all evidence of the truth, and then by casting the believers to triumph, in brackets, we inflicted our retribution upon those who deliberately did evil. For we had willed it upon ourselves to succor the believers. Next translation. We have already sent messengers to the people who came before you, and they came to them with clear evidence. Then we imposed retribution on those who severed relations with us, for we have taken it upon ourselves to help the believers.
Yeah. So this is the one who got from this believer, the one who became criminal and manifestly and directly evil, like persecution and things like that. They will get a punishment sooner or later, depending upon the situation of the universe. Again, all these complications of the qadar and so on. And this is because, and this would happen always in all eternity in the future, because we have made it on ourselves obligatory. Allah made something on himself obligatory, which is positive for the one whom he obliged to. Then this cannot be avoided. It must be fulfilled. It must be fulfilled. So Allah's promising to give something to someone, give him some bonus, some benefit, is absolutely compulsory in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala by his own power, and it's a commitment. This commitment cannot be foregone. If he threatens some punishment, purely for his own sake, he can forego it. No problem. He doesn't need. Because for leaving the punishment and foregoing it is a bonus. And Allah is always in the bonus side, not in the negative side. But he can fulfill the other one if he wants. Okay. Next ayah.
الله الذي يرسل الرياح فثير سحابا فيبسطه في السماء كيف يشاء ويجعله كسفا فترى الودق يخرج من خلاله فإذا أصاب به من يشاء من عباده إذا هم يستبشرون. It is God who sends the winds of hope so that they raise a cloud, whereupon he spreads it over the skies as he wills, and causes it to break up so that thou seest rain issue from within it. And as soon as he causes it to fall upon whomever he wills of his servants, lo, they rejoice. Next translation. It is God who sends the winds to raise the clouds, then he spreads them about the sky however he wills, and he makes them break up, so you see the rainfall through them. And when he causes rain to fall on whomever of his worshippers he wills, they rejoice.
Yeah. And obviously it says in the other one is a little bit more general. It says wadq, not water or rain. Rain can be, but rain could be also including hail. So the word wadq doesn't say water coming from it because it may come in a frozen form. And many people think that a frozen form is something different than water. It's actually water frozen. So then when they say that, they are hopeful and rejoicing for the rain coming. Yeah. Okay. Who does that? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Now someone say, oh, the wind is blowing because of the difference in temperature in Earth's surface. Yeah, okay. And how the differences happen? Okay, from the sun, insolation. And depending on if it's sea or land, then in the case sea, it evaporates and temperature goes low and so on. Okay, and we have this circulation. Okay, how this is initiated? Because the Earth is rotating near to a star. Okay, how come that the star condensed and so on? These satellites emerge. There are various theories about planet creation here and elsewhere. Oh yeah, because it is when the whole stars are a condensation of clouds. Okay. And these clouds, from where they came at the Big Bang, there was no clouds. But after the Big Bang, yes, we have maybe after some time, we don't know exactly. There are some theories about that. We have only helium and hydrogen. That's the only one you can emerge. Before that, only protons and neutrons can emerge. Okay, and but the planets are having other materials, much more complicated structure. Where these are collapsing stars, which cook these advanced before they explode, and they seed the clouds for the next generation of stars, and they may have not enough to make planets. So these also this should explode, and only the third generation from their clouds, the fourth generation, possibly like the Earth and the Sun, emerge. How this was established? What's the initial law? You get stuck. So if he comes, we know how it is out now. Well, how it happens? Go back. If you tell me that's because difference of temperature, we know that. We know there's difference with temperature. And when ayah says we guide the clouds to, doesn't mention the winds carrying them and taking them up. So sometimes it gives you a near stage, a further stage, and so on. And the rest will go until the initiation of the universe. That's it. So this argument of some called naturalists and so on is so simple-minded. It's shocking to see people, scientists, I would say so stupid. It's a stupidity. I have no other word for it. To argue with that against a divine being or against the scripture that they are somehow wrong or somehow simple-minded. You are the simple-minded man. You are the simple-minded man. Okay, next.
وإن كانوا من قبل أن ينزل عليهم من قبله لمبلسين even though a short while ago, just before it was sent down upon them, they had abandoned all hope. Next translation. Even though before it was sent down upon them, they were in despair.
Yeah.
Okay, next ayah.
So now suddenly switch to being jubilant and happy.
فانظر إلى آثار رحمة الله كيف يحيي الأرض بعد موتها إن ذلك لمحيي الموتى وهو على كل شيء قدير. Behold then, O man, these signs of God's grace, how he gives life to the earth after it had been lifeless. Verily, this self-same God is indeed the one that can bring the dead back to life, for he has the power to will anything. Next translation. So observe the effects of God's mercy, how he gives life to the earth after it had been dead. He is the one who brings the dead to life. He has power over all things.
This is within his power. But it is interesting to mention the hadith, which starts from the beginning. That can be only coming from a prophet. That cannot, if it is true, obviously. Only because he starts with the infinite of the azal and so on, and goes from there. That's if you start with that without knowing what you are doing, you will end in hell and problems. You start with here and go back step by step. That's the correct way for finite being. But since the prophet is receiving revelation, it has to be phrased in a humanly acceptable language, and no such a language that a simple cowboy and camel driver, without disrespect for these two professions, they are important also for life, or the illiterate farmer, they understand it, and also the deep, complicated philosophy. He says, at the beginning of after creation is finished, established, Allah created 100 mercies, meaning acts of mercy, because Mercy itself as a divine attribute is not created. It's part, is the being of the divine, being merciful and mercy in himself. So acts of mercy. And he gave the symbolism of 100 of them. He kept 99 above the throne with him to be used another time in the future, Yom Qiyamah, and broadcasted one in the universe. Okay. And he give you an example how it appears. فمن ذلك الواحد في المئة, this one mercy, how it appears. Give you an example which is at first to be shocking, but if you think about it deeply from here now going back, you recognize how it works. From this one unit, the mother sheep lifts her legs so she doesn't have her baby. So instinct. So the instinct is ingrained in a complicated genetic balance and hormonal balance and so on. Because this being is not thinking. Essentially, it's instinctive. And this is based on a certain balance of chemistry and so on in the mother sheep. And being a mother sheep, meaning we have reached a level in development of living being on Earth, we're talking about Earth at least. So that we have the life which originally started with one cell, splitting now and developing over maybe several billion years, and we have now sexuality. We have male and female. And if you go back how the split has happened, you may face also a problem. What's the first phase of split? At the beginning, the split may have been not so sharp, because we have, for example, in plants could be growing by spotting, so they don't need to female and male, and also the same plant may be growing by male and female. That's available in many plants like that. For animal, doesn't seem to be like that. But before that, it came through the egg phase. Because the giving birth and womb is a later development of giving the egg phase, because the eggs are inside the body and come and in the ovary and complicated. Before that, it was the eggs were laid out. So they're not in the body. We don't have birth and so on. But we have male and female, yeah. But we don't have that. And if you go back, you come to a certain stage in evolution, you will get most likely stuck, but not as stuck as with the issue of 48 chromosome going down into 36, 46, maybe more. I don't know. I didn't look at that point where it's really started splitting like this from a monocellular. There must be so many phases, worms and things like that. Semi-sprouting and then separating and then encapsulating and laying it out. And then more efficient is to have it inside in a womb and so on and so on. And we have in between these animals that I think the Australian, the kangaroo, they are in between. They give birth, but they are not really there for outside. They have it in a bag. And all these, if you look, you see the amazing various stages and various branches of evolution, which all emerge and point to one initial point, which is not a dead blindness, something else. That's it. Excellent. Next eye. But just mention so how to look at these things. You start when you go back, but here you have some prophetic help here and there, telling you how it was back and give you a metaphoric language, because they no way can comprehend or have any comprehension of these things. But give you certain images, certain models of thinking, which contain the essential meaning, but shaped in space-time images. Next.
ولئن أرسلنا ريحا فرعوه مصفرا لظلوا من بعده يكفرون. But thus it is, we send a wind that scorches their land, and they see it turn yellow. They begin after that erstwhile joy to deny the truth of our almightiness and grace. Next translation. But if we should then send a bad wind, and they see their crops turn yellow, they would continue to deny the truth.
Yeah, because they don't with their reason. They just like following the grandparents, following our culture. You have to be British. What's British? Something in school. Nobody knows what's British is. Just words which do not make any meaning. Sticking to that. Would you have inheritance? Instead of thinking, what's the meaning of British? How far it goes in the back, if it has any meaning. What's the word before the Britons invaded the country? There were Gals, or what they name, Gauls, etc., and so Scottish and people of Wales and so on. Other nations, which values they have? Different from the British ones. These have emerged later. Blah, 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 blah. Just blabbering with things that people do not think about it properly. Let the people start thinking, then they become enlightened. They know their place in the universe and they recognize the absolute truth, which is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And then they can go from there. Then their life have a direction and they have, as promised by the revelation, they have an eternal life. That's the way to go. The other way will get you nowhere. No, we have to keep the tradition. That's what defines us. No, that's what defines us.
How do you relate that? So I understand the concept what you said, but how does that relate to this ayah specifically, or in this context?
What?
What you just described?
If you it's clear. If you see a wind which make your fruits yellow and so on, and deprive you, you may ask you, how come that after the rain came and so on, what happened? What is why the shift? What's going on there? Who is behind the shift? How it changed? Yeah. Just ask you how it changed. What's behind that? That's it.
Okay, so so basically, it's all about putting context behind it and the original cause.
Yeah. That's the sales wise. Allah is behind that ultimately. Don't be fooled by superficial explanation. Oh yeah, they became yellow because the wind is having no rain and it is hot and so on. So no wonder that's scorched. Yeah, but how come this one is scorching and the one before several months ago like that? Oh, someone philosopher comes to, because these one in the temperate time and from temperate areas. This is another one. Okay, how come that is this and this? And the same saying, we can go back and back and back. But you have to start thinking. They will never go back to their beliefs about the universe and so on. They still persist. Our idols, we inherited our fathers, have some kind of symbolism and power. One of the idols, say, for example, being British values. We ask these foreigners to accept British values. What's British values? What's it? Tell us what's it. It's Christianity or it's paganism or what's it?
Alcoholism.
You see, they want to start thinking, you record. But they persist in their kufr. That's why inherited it. It must be the right way of living. No, it is not. But you have to start asking questions, even the simplest level. If you don't ask, just take that. Okay, it happens like that. It happened by the past now. It's just a repeating cycle of the universe. As in other places, of these who deny resurrection, they say, do you believe really there's resurrection? All what you see is worms spitting babies out, that fat push of babies out, and then earth swallowing bodies. Good recycling, and it's going for eternities. That's what I think, but it can't be going for eternities. Go back and see that there's a phase where there were no worms, something else and something else, something else. And go forward. How long that can persist? It can't. Sometimes the balance will be broken because of human mismanagement of their life. Fertility goes lower and the whole nation may get extinct by numbers going down, so they have enough genetic value, and then they just disappear. It will take maybe hundreds of years, maybe. You don't see it, but you see if you go in time past and see how other civilizations disappeared. See how come that this prosperous empire and so on declined and became then in the back caravan of nations. After being for several thousand years in the top of the world, strongest power in the world, like the pharaohs, old Egypt. They were the strongest power until maybe 1500 BC. There was no empire comparable in the whole world. None whatsoever. And then they started declining bit by bit by bit. It's interesting to study that specific situation there. And then after maybe 6 BC, 7 BC, they were never a dominant empire. Even the state of Israel at the same time was able to defeat some of their armies. This tiny Israel. And then until now, it is never became a world power, except when the Khalifa Abbasiyya nominally went to Egypt. Then it became a world power again. So we know the reason for that, what happened there. A new ideology, a new leadership. Although that one is not the best ideology, but much better than the surrounding world at that time, etc., etc. Yeah. But you have to look more critical to the reality than just repeating that that's what's happening last year. But my grandparents and so on, they suffered through that. This is the way nature works, is like a cycle. No, it's not like a cycle. It has a beginning and end. Yeah.
Next ayah. فإنك لا تسمع الموتى ولا تسمع الصم الدعاء إذا ولوا
الصم
تسمع الصم ثم الدعاء إذا ولوا مدبرين. And verily, thou canst not make the dead hear, and so too thou canst not make the dead of heart hear this call when they turn their backs on thee and go away. Truly, next translation, truly, you cannot make the dead hear, nor can you make the deaf hear the call when they turn their backs and go away.
Yeah. And that's obviously comforting him to Allah, because people running away and so on. He's quite distressed. How come the evidence is clear? He sees it clearer like the sun in a clear day in the summer, and these guys are not seeing. So, because it's not within their power. They have to make the choice by themselves. Right? And the other place, if we have willed the foundation of the universe, that every soul, every thinking being will become guided automatically, this means they will not get free will. That's it. Genuine free will. If we willed that, it would have been like that. But we did not will that. Why did will that? He willed that. That's the fundamental question of Qadr. That's a divine decision done in eternity. But we go, no, Allah is the absolutely perfect and the absolute truth. Then this decision made is a good one. There is no other decision which can be described as good. By definition, you don't need to give to someone target. This is hikmah. This is this. Don't go in this trap, satanic trap. No. That decision, this fundamental decision, because he is the completely perfect and the absolute truth. That's it. You don't need to go in speculation. There were so many universes and he ordered them and so on. This is no need for that. Most likely this is not doable. So leave it. You have to accept that. Once you have established the absolute truth in himself, he's perfect, halas. Trust that the initial decision is a good one. There's no one superior. Maybe there's no possible one at all. Maybe. We don't know. But accept that. And then adjust yourself in the universe. There's no other way for a created being except to adjust them to the infinite, the absolute truth, the perfect one, the necessarily existent. There's no way. That's the only way. There's no way. Nothing else is creatable. You have to be divine, but a divine being is not creatable. It's necessary. So this is absolute necessity. You stop there, accept it, and act accordingly. Appreciating that you have this enormous power and enormous free will. And this is, this power is big, but it's not enough to force everyone to be a believer. So Muhammad, don't grieve. Just give it up. Continue making your da'wah and don't question yourself and so on. No. You did it best. You got the evidence and so on. They chose to turn away. And all that will be settled Yawm al-Qiyamah. Some may have settled away because they're born deaf and blind, so they cannot hear physically. Some know they have a handicap. Some have a mental derangement, making them they are not responsible and so on. This will be sorted by the one who has absolute power of all things, not you. Leave that to me. فذكر إنما أنت مذكر لست عليهم بمسيطر إلا من تولوا وكفر فيعذب الله العباد. So remind them you are exclusively a reminder. لست عليهم بمسيطر. They have no authority over them. They have no forcing power over them. However, those who rejected faith and turn away by their own will, these will be punished by Allah al-Adab al-Akbar. But who will decide that when? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, not you. It's not in your remit. It can't be in your remit. It's impossible to be in your remit. Next. You have to connect all these. At first, it looks simple sentences, but you have to connect to the others and go deeper. Yeah. Mhm.
وما أنت بحاد الأمي عن دلالتهم إن تسمع إلا من يؤمن بآياتنا فهم مسلمون. Just as thou canst not lead the blind of heart out of their error, none canst thou make hear thy call, save such as are willing to believe in our messages, and thus surrenders themselves unto us.
Exactly. Those are willing. Those willing is not a sovereign, limited, yes, by conditions and so on, but it's a sovereign decision. The guy has to make the decision. That's it.
And just another translation. And you cannot guide the blind of heart away from their misguidance. You can make none hear you except those who believe in our messengers and thus submit themselves to us.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Next ayah.
Yeah.
الله الذي خلقكم من ضعف ثم جعل من بعد ضعف قوة ثم جعل من بعد قوة ضعفا وشيبة يخلق ما يشاء وهو العليم القديم. It is God who
قدير. العليم
عليم القدير.
العليم القدير. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
It is God who creates you all in a state of weakness, and then after weakness ordains strength for you, and then after a period of strength ordains old age, weakness, and grey hair. He creates what he wills, and he alone is all-knowing, infinite in his power. Next translation. It is God who creates you weak, then gives you strength, then after a period of strength he ordains weakness and white hair. He creates what he wills. He is the all-knowing, the all-powerful.
Exactly. So that's very clear. The only point is that we can come later, because the fundamental decision in the universe is to have the universe having a limited time. The first universe, this one, and then there will be accounting after that. So nobody can be eternal. Nobody. So it has to decline. So the biology and so on is designed so that it starts from zero, essentially. Weakness, absolute weakness is nothing else. Started from absolute darkness. If we are more lenient, say you started from an egg and sperm, okay, that's quite weak. Even no mind, nothing is there. No personality even is there. Until the spirit is blown in someone about 40, 41, 42 days, then the technicality is irrelevant. What is the meaning of blowing your spirit in that case? But then you increase in, but the design of the biology is such so that you increase in until you reach a peak, 25 years, up to 35 years perfection. And then it starts that decline. There's no way you can arrest it. You can slow it. You can extend life a little bit by being strict in food and so on, etc., as much as you can. You can make the old age less prone for disease and so on. Will be a better age. All that's possible, but ultimately it has to go to the end. There's no way. Because this is not a final universe. So it has to be terminated for every individual, and whole universe have terminated in a certain cataclysmic effect, which you don't know. It's for the Earth only or for the whole universe. There's disagreement among scholars. Is it a local event in the Earth, or it is for the whole universe? It's irrelevant completely. Actually, it's irrelevant even if it's in Earth or there, because someone asked himself, when is the hour is coming? He said, looked to a young man, said, if this one becomes over 100 something else, then all this generation will have their hour has come. Meaning they will be dead before that. That's it. And another hadith saying, Man mata faqad qamat qiyamatuh. The one who dies, his hour has come. You don't care about the rest of the universe. Who cares about that? For you, it is moment of death. Then this is the first step before resurrection. So your hour, qiyamah, or the sa'a, mata sa'a. That's it. That's your sa'a. So is it universal, the whole earth, or the whole universe, or is it super crunch? It's irrelevant. But you can study it if you're interested in luxury of thoughts. Not bad. How it works in the physical universe. You don't need to be worried about that very much. As a person, for yourself. For the universe, if you think it's something you can be studied in physics, good, no problem. Go study it. If you think it develops by the usual way of things developing in a natural way, it may be that all the reality is like a tank which having a plug. And just continue filling and filling. It's very wide. And one day Allah can, any moment, decide, pull the plug and it's finished. And you can make the universe disappear in a second. Because he clearly is the one holding the universe in existence. Otherwise, disappear. Like a shadow. So he can just, the light source himself, he can just put a veil and you are just a shadow of some structure before that, projection, hologram, call it whatever you want. And the moment the light source put a veil, hologram is gone. Nothing is there. Immediately. You don't need even a super crunch. There are many complicated things. I would advise somebody not to waste much time with that. Some people get involved in that. Some people have joy intellectual. I would prefer someone involved in mathematics, high mathematics and so on, and go systematically and develop theorems there. It's more useful and more enlightening and enjoyable in the brain than imagining that the whole reality is some kind of a simulation. If the simulator decides to finish the simulation, someone who may have seen this Star Trek, the Next Generation, so they have like when they get bored, they go to this, what they call it?
Holodeck.
Holodeck. They go to holodeck, door closed, and then he starts a simulation. He participates in the simulation, but still they not get themselves to be out of simulation at the same time. It's awfully difficult to represent. And then when the guy who went in, for example, command the data or something like that, when he goes outside, I say, holodeck exit. Door open and there's nothing there. If it is like that, fine. No, just the commander, ultimate commander, absolute commander, just say exit. Finish. You don't need to bother your head about how the universe disappeared. This universe disappeared. Another one emerged after that. Another simulation, another type, which does not have termination. And that's it. It can continue for all eternities. And you can imagine various things for it. And sometimes I imagine, okay, how it looks like. If it's similar to this, then obviously the Earth will be, after billions of years, will have all resources finished and so on. Waste is obviously recycled, but something will leak outside. Okay. Side of the universe persists for billions of years, and you can travel with the infinite speed between all that. So you will never get bored. And then you are transferred to the other side, and this side is erased, and then at infinitum. You can imagine how much you like. So don't waste your time on how it happens, how to black, because as if the laws of this universe, as much as they seem necessary here, they are not necessary in the absolute scheme, in the eyes of the absolute necessary being, the absolute truth. It's just one section of the truth. Yeah, that's. And who is the absolute control of that? The one in eternity is having the present knowledge of all possibilities. And later on, the acquired knowledge as things develop in one universe, which in that case, our universe. Then all problems are solved. And what you care about when a sa'a is coming, when you die, your sa'a has come. Leave the other have their sa'a anytime they wish. They will have it inevitably. Will it be catastrophic? Maybe, we don't know. Doesn't seem to be of any greater relevance. The current theory is that the Big Bang is continue, and it seems to be the acceleration of the expansion is going to even becoming bigger with time. Seems to be. Nobody knows that for exact completely, because what you observe in the universe that far away is that what happened billions of years ago. We don't know what happened in between. Maybe it's crashing now, and we're not just getting the crash yet. We're not seeing it until it boom above our tops. With this one, it will spread, and it's come to heat death after 10 to the 30 billions of years. That's if they continue this way. Because second law of thermodynamics and all these things. But who said it will continue this way? There's no plug which can be taken. Exit. So you have to think outside this current universe. I'm just making things just for enjoyable, just having a bit of Star Trek and the holodeck for enjoyable. Carry on. Until that integrate that in. So with the more time, we get more models which nobody thought in time past. Yeah? Well, I could see what is this? It must be jinn or something, angels. No, it could be also something of like holodeck and things like that. Projection, inshallah, project, so they can see it with your limited perception capabilities. Okay, let's carry on. Not too much speculation, although sometimes enjoy.
Let me know when's a good point to stop, inshallah.
See the next ayah.
Okay. We've gone about just under 1.5 hours, so okay, 1 second.
Next ayah.
ويوم تقوم الساعة يقسم المجرمون ما لبثوا غير ساعة.
We stop here. That's when the Arab is established, then the criminals will say, we lived only 1 hour. Where all that life is gone? Looks like 1 hour. Or we have without conscious for 1 hour. And then the believer answer to them. That's we start next time, inshallah. I think that's good one. So we finish with dunya now when the hour is established.
Okay, perfect. Let me just make a record of that, inshallah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so next week we'll start with ayah 55, Surah Rum. Okay. Okay, on to question and answers. So if anyone's got any questions on the chat, feel free, or sorry, on the Zoom. Otherwise, I'll go to previously submitted questions. Anyone wants to ask anything in the Zoom, just raise your hand so that I can unmute you. Okay, so got a very simple question to kick off with. A brother sent something in, I think, in one of the chats. He works at a company. He says, I work at a company and I get paid on the 15th of the following month. Sometimes I ask my employer to pay me earlier than agreed upon. He then tells me that he will deduct an amount from the total for every day I request my salary early. Is it permissible for me to do this, or is that considered interest?
No, it's because it doesn't increase. It decreases because you have the benefit of getting it earlier. That's something they call that's factoring, something like that. So this is most likely the definition of interest does not apply to it, but it needs further scrutiny. The best for this, brother, is to check Islamic banking, because I think they do this factoring for documents of purchase. Because when you buy something, then from the day of buy or day of reception, you have 60 days to give to the company. Yeah. Then there's people who come and buy these documents of sale, because it's not a debt, it's a sale. And then they go to the company and say, okay, you have to wait 60 days, for example, to have the cash. Yeah. So that's an incentive for the people to buy from you. And some have longer. I think 60 is the standard between companies, at least, not single persons. To go to Amazon and say, get lost. You're not powerful enough to put pressure on them. But generally, companies which buying from like really producer or buying from big suppliers and so on will use this factory. They give you a payment, a leeway payment, usually 60 days. And then people take this from the buyer, the document, and give him the discount. We pay you discounted amount. For example, the sales price for 60 days, let's say 100. Let's say to the one who will say, you can wait until you pay 100 for 60 days, but you give us the document and transfer to us, and we go on your behalf and collect the money. Then we give you only 85, for example, depending upon what's the need of this guy. So many people regard that as a good saving. They are saving good in that, and they give you documents. Then you take the document, and you have sufficient financial resources to wait until the 6 days there and go and take the 100. And you will gain between 15. Most likely, some Islamic bank are doing that, and they have maybe the detailed Sharia construction. But at first sight, does not look like the user. The user is different.
So this again, this is for salary. This is not for a product. It's for a salary.
It doesn't matter. It's for your effort, for service, not money for money. First of all, it's for your service.
Okay, somebody's got this question. Let me see if I can increase. What's the tafsir of يحمل أرش ربك يومئذ ثمانية ثمانيه? I know that. Yes.
The throne of your Lord is carried by 8. That's where the translation.
So he says. So the question he's got is, well, he's just put the Arabic there. I know that Allah cannot be seen because He isn't a body. By what? So okay. Whoever asked this question, if you're gonna get on the mic, maybe it might be easier for you to correspond. I'm not sure what you're trying to say here, but why 8? Is there some mention to? Okay, so why 8?
Yeah.
Does that make sense to you as a question?
Yeah, that's a deep question. 8. Well, first of all, what is this 8? 8 forces. But what's Arsh Rabbika? What's it? What do you think about the Arsh? The throne. What's the throne? The throne in dunya for kings is a seat, usually for 2 persons. His Majesty and Her Majesty sit next to him, and it's elevated, and there are steps. And that's not only that; it has an arc about it, which was like what they call, like these royal beds, something, which shield you from surroundings somehow. You can close it, and it may be sometimes so tight that even mosquitoes cannot come in. It's like a tent. And if they go to the presence of the king, he's not only sitting in that, on top of him is this. So first of all, that's the arsh. The arsh is the top part, together with the bottom part. Now, the bottom part we may discuss, but what's about the top part? Nothing is above your Lord, so it can't be the physical image of arsh cannot apply. But it becomes even worse. What is the kursi? We're sitting above, allegedly. Now we have one place in the Quran talk about a kursi. وسع كرسيه السماوات والأرض ولا يؤوده حفظهما. Now we have a unique explanation by Ibn Abbas, which is a shock for Salafi and for these shallow-minded hadith. Ibn Abbas completely negating all the theory about as it appears and so on, but not like ours and so on. He said, what's what he called about his kursi? And even Bukhari did not dare attributing to Ibn Abbas, he attributed only Sa'id ibn Juwayr. But we have 2 narrations, one Sa'id ibn Juwayr from Abbas, one Sa'id ibn Juwayr himself, most likely in a tafsir session. Now, Sa'id ibn Juwayr, from whatever you know about him, is extremely conservative. He will not dare any explanation except taken from Abbas. So we can say safely, because of the other good isnad also, that it's from Ibn Abbas. Ibn Abbas has the daring character and the deep understanding, which is the best Quranic exegesis we have actually in history. What did he say? Kursiyuhu, his knowledge, ilmuhu. So his ilm encompasses everything. It's not a seat, it's not this above there, it's not arsh, not arish, nothing. It's something. So what is metaphorical for what then? For the kingdom, for the power of kingdom. So what carry the kingdom? What does it mean? What is these 8? Are they angels or what? You find everywhere. You find, for example, in another surah, say, الَّذِينَ يَحْمِلُونَ الْعَرْشَ وَمَنْ حَوْلَهُ يُسَبِّحُونَ بِحَمْدِ رَبِّهِمْ. Those who carry the throne and those around it, they praise their Lord and so on, and make istighfar for the believers. What are these entities? Most people tell you these are angels. But what are angels? Are they some kind of spiritual being, a conscious being? It doesn't seem to be full conscious being in the sense we have, because they cannot they are protected from committing errors. They don't have a complete free will. There's some kind of mechanisms. What is this 8? Maybe it's a hint to it that the fundamental fields are 8. And they are the one who support this existing kingdom. Okay? So I don't want to go deeper into metaphor, but liberate your mind from these Allah cannot be seen. By necessity. It's no way he can reflect light and so on. But it says in some places, وَجَاءَ رَبُّكَ إِلَىٰ رَبِّهَا نَاظِرَةً. And then the ancient will say, Nadira, looking at their Lord is not possible and so on, expecting his reward. No, I say no. He's very well capable of making a hologram representing himself, of everyone a different hologram, of all of them sharing a hologram, or creating in their mind, in their perception. Like in dreams. Some people claim they say God in dreams. So all this with the divine power. And say يومئذ, that day, فيومئذ وقعت الواقع إلى آخره. So it must be another situation than in dunya, because in dunya most narration, I'm not sure if it's in the Quran or it's in a hadith, or maybe it's just popular theories, folk story. It is for carrier of the throne. That's a usual popular myth or something. I don't know. So it's different than Yom al-Qiyamah. So after the universe structure changes. Yeah. But there must be some hints to something deeper. If we are now not able to achieve more, we can achieve based on what Ibn Abbas did, encouraging us to do. Actually, we should have done that before on our own. But Al Hadith and some people over, actually, the Ash'ari say Al-Arsh is a kinaya, is a metaphor for the kingdom. And they are right in that. Oh, the Salafi will be over the moon and so on. Because they discuss istiwa, what's the meaning of istiwa, above the Arsh, below the Arsh, all of this nonsense. So the Ash'ari are better than that. So the ancient did do steps in that direction. There are certain hints there, which are quite good. That's quite good. But the shoes number like Thamania and so on, hints of something. What is it? We don't know. Maybe we don't have enough information about the kingdom of God, the structure of the glory of his kingdom. And also the issue of استوى في 6 أيام ثم استوى على العرش. If you consider it as the kingdom, then he taking the metaphor of founding kings or kingdom, because he's a founding king. He's not inheriting a kingdom. He's the one who created, founded. So that metaphor meaning this is a founding king who founded everything, and after founding, the structure is here. Now he's attending to its management. ثم استوى على العرش. He attended to the kingdom now. A kingdom is created. No. That's a good metaphor, good metaphoric explanation. The other things are just nonsensical. It's a body or not body and so on. But there's someone who say, oh, this necessitates that the Arsh is created in some sense. Not necessarily, but if it's not created, who said it's not created? But definitely non-created is the way to go. وكان عرشه على الماء. What is the water? We'll get to that inshallah when I'm there. 6 أيام وكان عرشه على الماء. And the other hadith. Allah existed, there was nothing, and he wrote everything in the dhikr, or created first the pen and so on. وكان عرشه على الماء. Some narrations say change كان عرشه على الماء, خلق عرشه على الماء, but this is faulty narration. You can check the isnad, see this is someone who did not understand what's going in, خلق عرشه على الماء. Ibn Taymiyyah claim عرش is مخلوق, something created, based on the claim that it says رب العرش العظيم. And for him, Rabb is something like a creator, things like that. But what if it's major blender, by the way? From this blender, he developed the other blender. And say Rabb al-Arsh al-Azim indicates that the Arsh is marboob, and Allah is the Rabb. Okay, what's about Rabb? Subhana Rabbika Rabb al-Izzah. The Lord of exaltation. Is the exaltation created? He was not exalted before. This is an intrinsic attribute. No, it can't be. In this case, Rabb, meaning the same way say the owner of Izzah, the one that have the attribute of Izzah. So just a linguistic expression. That's what we say about the house lady, Rabbat al-Bayt in Arabic. The lady of the house. I think they say in English also. The lady of the house. Is she the creator of the house? No. Is she the absolute sovereign? No. The one who the house is attributed to her, and she's the manager of the house. So all of these goes in circle, never ends, until you recognize that there are certain things which men said of as if material things, but they are not material. But it has a certain deep meaning. If you want to involve in that, study it more thoroughly from beginning, from principles of reason, one by one, step by step. If you don't want to go and say, I don't know what's the throne. I don't know who are carrying the throne. I don't know where it is at. Maybe in the future we'll have more information. But keep it open that this throne is not created. It's a metaphor for the kingdom. And then we are going from there. Okay? But there's no need in this ayah. In this ayah, it appears that it's Thamaniya. And there's nowhere talking there about the angels. Even the ayah, الذين يحملون العرش ومن حوله. So there's called the cherubim, the muqarrabin. And there's a hint that they are above the other angels. Because most of the hadith says about Jibreel and Mikael that they are chieftain of the angels. Okay. But then a hadith about which mentioned that the Messenger of Allah asked Jibreel alayhi salam.
السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته شيخنا.
No, just
كيف حالك يا عزيزي؟
Let the brother finish.
complete this sentence.
All right, once you finish, just let me know, yeah?
He asked Jibreel which when it was لما قضى موسى الأجل, when he finished that appointed term, it was agreed with his father 8, and if I extend 10, then it's a good generous from you. And Musa said, if I restrict myself to 8, then you cannot blame me. So it's flexible, it's much worse. And then he left. قضى الأجل, did not mention Ajal. So Rahman was curious and asked Jibreel which Ajal he completed. Jibreel said, I have no idea. And then he asked an angel above him or a creation above him, one with the carrier of the throne, allegedly. In the hadith, I have to check the wording of the hadith. And this one did not know even. So he asked Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Allah said, the most generous and the most noble. That's the 10 years. So if you put all of that together, you get a picture. That is, these are the so-called, what the Old Testament calls the cherubim, muqarrabin. It is not including Jibreel and Mikael. Or these are the chieftains of the angels. So how to put that together? I think this is metaphorism and allegoric. It's important to do that. Anyway, it's long-winded answer, but it applies to many other places, by the way, not only here. Okay. Next, who is the brother saying what the brother is saying?
Yeah, just going to try and unmute again. 1 second. I'm just going to allow him to unmute now. Try and...
Alhamdulillah.
We are doing great.
Alhamdulillah.
It's just this verse has always stopped me. When Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala في سورة الرعد, he says ولو أن قرآنا سيرت به الجبال أو قطعت به الأرض أو كلم به الموتى بل لله الأمر جميعا. Like I would like to have for me of all and for all my brothers, like some elaboration about this verse, please.
It's simply just the Mushrikeen are saying why he's getting this Quran, which is good text and so on, good to analyze and think about it. Why did he get the Quran, which when he read, he can cut the mountains, he can revive the death. We want miracles which we can feel. We don't want a Quran which we have think and analyze. We don't want. We want to just continue in our the slumber and not waste any mental energy in understanding the Quran. If they do it, they will have enough evidence better than seeing the mountain being moved and the earth being shattered, cut, and the dead are taken out of the earth. So you want something material like Isa has presented. So, but it's in hand of Allah. I have no control over that. Maybe one day he will reveal some ayahs of this type. Maybe never. But the Quran is revealed so that Arabian لعلكم تعقلون, so they can use your reason, not see mountain moving to prove its divine origin. You get the divine origin by looking in it and analyzing it. Simple. How? ولو كان من عند غير الله لوجدوا في اختلافا كثيرا. بس this needs some thinking and working. They don't want. They want to have the so-called miracle in front of theirs. And even if the miracle come, most likely they will deny. Like when Israel, the Pharaoh did, and all other people through history did. Most people. For example, Isa ibn Maryam. They say he's a magician. The Quraysh even say, we want you to bring a book from heaven in your parchment. That time, the scrolls were made out of skin, I think. I don't think Quraysh have papyrus. I don't think they have just out of skin. Okay. So we can almasu, so we can touch it. Allah answered to them, which guarantee you have that after they come and touch it, say, but our eyes has been intoxicated and our senses has been deformed. But there's nothing there. Muhammad has bewitched us. So their demand is nonsensical. Because the way the Quran comes, you have to think about it, and this is inside your brain, the same consciousness which will detect your own existence. There's nowhere else after that to go. That's the absolute 0 point. It addresses this. That will bring you to certitude, but you have to do the job. You have to do the job. The other way will not get you anywhere. You start from outside and try, because outside you get to the outside after you have looked inside. I really exist. Not the body, maybe this is imagination, but that consciousness must be something existing. Cogito ergo sum. I recognize that obviously it's formulated wrongly. By my immediate experience of recognizing myself, perceiving myself, I recognize my existence. A fundamental concept. There's no way to go behind that without never-ending contradictions or just in madness. Okay. So the ayah is in this part. We wish a Quran which do that, or even bring a book of in parchment and say, "How come that you are poor? You say your Lord is powerful over things. Just ask for a garden which you can eat from it and become rich and independent, and this and this and this and this." It will not help. One ayah mentioned the Quran, which is when the moon split. Some people argue it is Yawm al-Qiyamah. No, you can read the ayah and see it is when يروا آية يقولوا سحر مستمر, continuous magic. He invited them. I will show you ayah. Let us go to Mina. Why to Mina? Because outside, and they can be present there and separate from the other people who may be coming to Makkah later. That's for the divine knowledge, obviously, because there's continuous caravans going back and forth. Not the big one for summer, winter, but smaller ones, continuous, is a main trading route. So before Fajr, it seems to be, from reading all the hadith, correct hadith, not the rubbish you hear some people saying, and stories, horror stories, no, the real ones, which we have established almost 100%, but I was waiting for some picture to come from that area, but there was a problem there. The Shabab there were not able to do that. Anyway, that's in my documentation. So maybe now with the research group, we can attend to that a little bit more. Anyway, and then he said, get ready. And then the moon was going down between the Khandama to the left, mountain called the Khandama is a bit high. And to the right is a mountain called Suwaida. And the moon was exactly between the top and the top of this. And between the lines, essentially almost in the middle. And then he split, the moon split. One split, one half, it was full moon. One half went before sunset, before moon set. One half went behind the Khandama, disappeared completely. Khandama shielded from the horizon. The other one on top of Suwaida, almost touching it. And say, look, witness. And they looked and looked and so on for a few seconds, maybe minutes, and then it joins again. And set after that. They say, Muhammad must have bewitched your eyes. There's nothing there. It's not possible. And then they came to the senses, okay, we can verify that. It's easier to verify. Muhammad is a magician, yeah, agreed on that. And he can use hypnosis, he can use bewitching the eyes, he can use psychological, mass hysteria, whatever. We are just 20, 30, 40. But he cannot bewitch all people. He cannot bewitch, he can tune the eyes of all people. So let us wait for the caravans coming near Mecca. And we send delegation of us waiting outside before they come to Mecca, and Muhammad can indoctrinate them. So they can all the precautions of a scientific work. The caravans come, they intercept them in the way. Welcome back and so on. How was your trip? Good, we are healthy. Anything strange? Have you anything special? Anything to report? They say we did not dare starting because we saw something which is unbelievable. We saw the moon splitting. They even did not dare say it, otherwise you'll be accused they are mental. So they prompted them in an intelligent way. Anything strange, anyone falling sick along the way, no. So they came back to the Mecca and the leadership of Kuffar, told them the witness coming from everywhere saying that at that time, arriving in the early morning, but we intercepted them outside and they saw that. And what the Quraysh responded, this is beyond any verification. You can't, but it's outside you, not inside you. So what the Quraysh said, oh, Muhammad is able to watch everyone. The same rule they established for that Muhammad cannot be able to watch all human beings. They may have said, it could, rationally it's conceivable. Maybe that's what really happened, is that this is all made to imagine this. It doesn't happen really in the sky. So, okay. But imagine it and seeing it this way from everyone outside and inside is within nobody's capacity except Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So it's a miracle anyway. Some people discuss, was it really or a vision or a reflection, whatever it is, visible to enough many people to be impossible for any finite being to do it. But they did not ponder this way. So what do you want more than that? All did not work, except those who thought properly and used their mind and recognized this is not. While another one, for example, I think came from Oman, he has a scroll called...
Okay. Sorry, Sheikh.
Assalamu alaikum, ya Sayyidi.
So you got a
I
follow-up
also
question,
have
bro?
another question. Can the mind possibly know Allah by only the mind? This is the first question.
What do you mean?
The second
What
question
mean
is
we
that-
know that he exists and he has these perfection attributes? Yes.
By only the mind.
Yeah.
Okay. It's possible.
It's possible. And we have the book of Tawheed, I run through that.
Then whomever knows Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala only by mind, like he can go to Jannah even if he didn't pray.
Leave that to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Don't worry about
fast.
Don't worry about Allah. Don't do Allah's job. He is perfect and so on. Now this synchronized completely 100%. That's part of proving the Islam, Quran is from Allah, is that all the divine attributes, all what's said about Allah ta'ala fits snugly with when Sister reason dictate. That's what we have. Now, what happened to him? If he received the da'wah to Islam, he should, because he came to that to recognize that's exactly what the truth. I checked the Quran, it fits with that 100%. I checked the Old Testament, it had a catastrophic deviation. I checked the New Testament, even the theory of it had catastrophic deviation. This must be from Allah. It can't be from this illiterate man from Mecca. Then he accepts faith. And you don't need that. For example, I was just mentioning the story now, but I will go Jannah, leave that to Allah. He manages that. You don't need to manage it on his behalf. He's managing it very well. He doesn't need you. When one man from Oman was famous for doing ruqya and spiritual healing, and they told him, beware, we have a mentally deranged guy. He says the strange things, avoid him. And he was so terrified that he put cotton in his ears. And then when he was going around the Kaaba for tawaf, I don't know if he's pagan or Christian, whatever. It's not clear from the story, but he was warned by Quraysh. He hid something. He could not even prevent communication. So he had, for some, saying things which seems to be reasonable, like some ayah of the Quran, most like he was reading Quran with a reasonable voice, and he passed him. Then he said, I said to myself, woe on me. I am a very rational man. I know who is sick and who is not sick. I am doing ruqya. I am one who healing people for mental derangement. And I am now afraid to listen to the man. So we went to the Prophet and said, listen, I'm from that, I think from Oman. And Quraysh told me that. I put what I recognized. I heard some ayahs, some sentences. It looks very well structured. It doesn't mention which ayahs he had. Can you repeat that to me with clear voice so I can hear it 100%? But it seems to be reasonable sentences, not what he heard from mentally deranged, but mixed sentences. Rasul smiled. I read to him. I say, repeat that again. Say, give me another one. Do you have more? I have plenty of that. I read him few. Then he said, stop here. Your words has reached the bottom of the ocean. Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah wa anna Muhammadur Rasulullah. على طول. He doesn't need to see the moon splitting, because he's using his reason. Okay. So the evidence is based on reason are the most compelling, and but you need to have some work. When he says, well, I say, woe to me. I am the one who healing the mentally deranged, and I believe Quraysh is reporting that a man is mentally deranged, and they hear few sentences, which does not seem like the one who having they usually have waswasa, but at least that's what we know about the people who he's doing the ruqyah to them. They never talk any few sentences which make good sense. For example, like Trump now, just listen to him, you don't know head from tail. So let me approach him. Say, Quraysh told me that. Let me do ruqyah from you, but I heard something interesting. See, Allah smiled, say, okay. What Quraysh said, I will prove you that they are wrong. I read you something, and you know about ruqyah, you know about mental derangement, you are a scholar in this area. Judge by yourself. Use your brain, use your mind. And then in one session, and Quraysh has nothing left to lamenting about the loss of this important man, this important raqi and thinker. Another one, I think the one of the scroll of Luqa. What is Luqa? I don't know. It's most likely not this Luqa, which we have as a Christian, or something else. He came to Mecca and told him, so he decided to go and challenge Muhammad. Say, you claim you have brought things and so on. I have the Sahifa. It's sufficient. It has wisdom and so on. And Allah said, okay, read to me some of the Sahifa. What did the Messenger comment to say? That's good. The advice there and so on is genuine, it's good, mostly, no doubt about that. But I have seen something better. And then he recited himself the Quran. He immediately embraced Islam. Because the man has all life thinking about this Luqa scroll, what's meaning there, what's wisdom there, how to establish relation to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. He is already advanced. No, this man, read it. There's no way that can be from this man. It's from there. Embrace Islam. So the question, can be Allah know purely by mind? Yes. That's possible. Now the other part of the question is encroaching in the realm is not yours. The only thing you have is if this one see what the messenger has brought and recognize it, and then he is a believer. If he rejected, then he is not completing the rational process. He gave up his rationality because he's afraid to separate from his people, because he's too arrogant. How come that's come to someone else? I did not get it. There must be so many psychological and other handicaps. Then this is a kafir, the one rejected the truth after receiving it, and the evidence came back to him absolutely clear, for example. That's only what we can judge in principle. Even a single person we don't know. Maybe he has another handicap we don't know. Leave that to Allah. But the judging that he will go Jannah and so on, this is as if we have Allah gave us the keys to Jannah. No, He didn't give us the keys. Definitely.
Okay, if anyone's got
I don't understand, Sheikh Muhammad. The idea is that the tashri' itself, the idea, like if you get my question into, I can explain more perspective for my question, okay? Is that what if in the past about the Sharia, when the tashri' came and all, like when did it start? And before that the Sharia started, like prayers, like Salah has come into time at a certain time, right?
Brother, that's not the Sharia the way Sharia.
Yes, so technically if a person knows, if the person recognizes Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and he knows him but he couldn't reach, will he like basically reckon as like someone who is muwahhid?
I don't know. I said don't interfere in Allah's job. Leave that to Allah. Why are you asking this question? This is a satanic question. The devil is playing with your mind to create doubt in your mind. Don't you agree that Allah is the absolute sovereign and He is comprehensive in knowledge? And
Yes.
He comes to vanish and so on. Why are you going? Besides, you start the Sharia came with Salah and so on. No, that's not the beginning of Allah commands to humanity. The first one is لا تقرب من هذه الشجرة وتكون من الظالمين. But no other command. Go naked, do whatever you want. So this is Sharia can be different. And you're talking about,
Sharia came.
Brother, you're talking about a man. Just to take a concrete example. This is going in the general imaginary world. Go to the Amazon, in the depth of the Amazon.
Yes.
They don't receive any message. You don't know what will happen to them.
So do they have the ability to recognize Allah?
Yeah, but this is if they think about it. but they are not challenging to start the process. They are in deep jungle and they inherited that from their parents.
So their taklif is different from us.
Hmm?
Their taklif is different from us.
No, it's our taklif. If the taklif reach someone, if it doesn't reach him, it's not taklif for him.
Then his taklif is just to know Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala.
Yeah.
To know who is the creator.
Yeah, but after communicating to you.
Like, why should they communicate with me? But they can't reach.
So you know his taklif. How do you know this the taklif of Allah?
Taklif is the sharia, but is the taklif, is the main taklif is al-fitra, that who knows.
No, it's not. No, al-fitra is not taklif.
Knowing Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala.
I know your problem. I know your problem. Coming from the hard background that al-fitra dictate that shirk is no excluding ignorance by shirk. But shirk is not ignored by ignorance. No, that's a mistake. Mithaq al-fitra says only Allah put the fitra in the human beings, and then Yawm al-Qiyamah, He will tell them, I gave you this good starting point, but you failed to accept my messenger when he has come.
Okay, coming back to the same line, I did not get like a full answer here. That is he mukallaf to know Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala only, like people deep in the Amazon? Is he mukallaf just to know the creator?
You know Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, you connect, you know it by that, you know that He exists, that He is perfect, and that He is sovereign. He has the right to give commands, but which commands He has given, I'm waiting. I'm waiting. That's all what you need. Why are going a mile before doing the first 100 meters? That's it. Don't get stuck. This is the way which Shaitan will get you out of the way. Put you, tell you, go, Allah go to the side, let me put myself on the throne, and then and manage on your behalf. No. You can recognize, you can achieve that because Allah exists and He has fundamental attributes, that's all. And this is the absolute sovereign. Did He exercise the sovereignty or did not? Even the Quran clarified that, Ya Abdul Halal. It says when Adam and Iblis was expelled from Jannah. Okay, fine. Say, فإما يأتينكم من هدى. If huda comes from me, فمن تبع هدايا فلا يضل ولا يشقى.
نعم.
أعطى عن ذكري فإن له معيشة ضنكا ونحشره يوم القيامة أعمى.
نعم.
ربنا حشرة الأعمى قلت كنت بصيرا قال كذلك آياتنا فنسيتها وكذلك اليوم تنسى. فلازم you have to get a guidance. That the mere knowing of you by necessity of reason that there's a divine being and that is the absolute sovereign by necessity, which means He deserves obedience for every command coming from Him. Yes, but did any command come from Him? No, we don't know.
But didn't we have like universal?
Until you receive, the Quran is clear. Read, brother, read the Quran. Clear. فإما يأتينكم هدى. This is the two. فمن تبع هدايا فلا وما.
It's for us. I'm discussing for us. This is for us, Ya Sayyidi. This is for us. But
for us.
I have been to the jungle.
They said addressing Adam and Iblis after taking them out of Jannah.
Okay. Let me relax.
Brother, you are stuck in this problem. You want to prove that بثاق الفطرة dictates you must be a non-mushrik. That's why the Wahhabi are stuck in it until Yawm al-Qiyamah. They will get out.
Okay, then. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Okay.
I tell you how this emerged. Ibn Abdul Wahhab.
Can I ask you this question, please?
I'll ask you where it says emerged. Ibn Abdul Wahhab declared the people of Najd mushrikeen. Right or wrong, that's another issue. And then many of them are not Shia, by the way. Say he killed the Shia in the East because they're mushrik. Maybe he has a point there. But here in Najd. And then people said, some people did not receive the message. Send du'at or say, no, I'm calling them to Tawheed. No, I don't see it to du'at. And then he killed them then, establishing power and so on. For dunya, for whatever, for obsession, mental delusion. I'm not going to discuss all of it, but this is a historic reality. Ibn Ghannam, go and read it. From that, they constructed that. Now, the people after him want to defend that, give it some meaning, because it's very obvious from the history, but their own admission. That's how the theory. Well, the Quran is very clear in that.
I do understand, but when I call to Islam, to people who are not Muslims, they cannot go and tell them about Quran. Like, and I say, like, I tell them, like, you need to understand my situation, that sometimes I go to the jungle, and I meet the people that you just explained about them, Ya Sheikh.
If you call people to Islam, tell them, there's a messenger called Muhammad, sent from the creator of Israel, have these attributes, and the evidence of that is that and that.
Ya Sheikh, they live like Tarazan. They only live like to eat. But at that place, like, how can I explain it? Like,
No,
at
you
that
cannot
place,
explain
they do
because
live like Tarzan.
you're discussing a case that does not exist in the universe. The Quran tells you.
It does exist. I can send you pictures. Yeah.
Okay, I understand. So you go to see Tarzan, and Tarzan can either accept the message or not accept the message. How does that change you? You don't need to pray behind him. You're not going to judge him on the day of judgment.
Yeah.
So you don't need to do
Leave that to
janazah
Allah.
over him.
Is
So
the devil
just do what
getting
you
you
can
in?
and move on.
The devil is diverting you with what you can do instead of doing what you are supposed to do. That's it. You're trying to judge things which are not even within realm of judgment. That's it.
Because the issue of hujjah, what
And
is
you are
sufficient
not-
hujjah? We
You're
don't
not
need to
willing,
like
brother.
that.
You have a fundamental error which is spread between Muslim Asian scholars. You take one ayah and make it absolute. What is about the ayahs which clarify and connect with it, especially such deep and complex issues like that? I think the ayah which controls that clearly is that what had been said. فإما يأتينكم مني هدى فمن تبع هدايا فلا يضل ولا يشقى. ومن أعطى عن ذنك هذا this does not address those who never get any never rejected it. The one in the Amazon, for example. Allah does not mention about what happened there. We know that He absolutely just and absolute mercy and comprehensive in knowledge. Be able to judge them. You don't need to make it in His behalf. It's completely irrelevant. Completely irrelevant.
I do understand you. Okay, I do understand you. Inshallah ta'ala, I will share in the next session, inshallah ta'ala, some pictures, and I will try to go and like basically I will deliver the message to them. But how? That's what I'm asking you. Like, how can I actually like call them? They don't recognize anything in life except for
you
food
are not
and
obliged to call. If the messenger reach them, he reach them, and that's the reason Hajjat say بلغ عني ولو آية. They should do that. They have failed many times. It's okay. Allah takes that into consideration about who goes in Jahannam or not. Finish. Game over. So why you are busy with the people who did not receive a message? By hook or crook, by mistake of Muslim or by geography.
I deliver, trust me, Sheikh. I deliver to everyone. I deliver to Christians, Buddha, Hindu, everyone.
Yeah, continue delivering.
I try to always, but I mostly depend on the mind to try to like make them and like
continue.
that you can know
why
Allah
you are
brother?
Why you are bothered if they go in hell, or if you hope that you'll get them? That's the period of carrying da'wah. You want to have thawab for yourself and saving for them as brother in humanity. That's good. What happened to them? Leave that to the
okay, we will leave that
affairs.
to them. We will leave to that to
That's
them.
it.
Okay?
Asking the question will get you in a never-ending nightmare.
Okay.
They will come and undermine even da'wah. I contacted many of them as they close their ears, for example. Maybe the ears are closed by a disease you don't know. Leave that to Allah. Do your da'wah. And listen what Allah told His messenger. فذكر إنما أنت مذكر. Remind, you are just a reminder. You don't join us over them. Stick to them, you are safe. And He said, من تولى كفر, who turn away and commit kufr. Allah knows who has done really that. Or who turned away from you. You are stopping at the street corner, calling for Islam. Someone stand there and look to you, and you think he has rejected, and wave with his hand and go. Maybe the man is having a mental derangement. He doesn't know what's going on. He thinks a theater, and he expects you to do some games. He didn't do anything. So, this man is. You don't know. Leave that to Allah. To judgment about this guy. Do your job.
Not only one or two guys, because like I actually like I live in a really multicultural.
Brother, trust me on that. Asking this question will undermine your work and get the shaitan in your work.
How?
Look at
the first question. Halas, we are done with the first question.
By asking this question and crossing in Allah's domain. And become self-righteous. I am the guided one, they are unguided. And this way you step one by one. He tried to get you here or here or here or there. Instead, for example, humble yourself to Allah and saying, this one did not listen to me. Maybe he's sick of the brain. Let me see another approach. Maybe get him a movie. Maybe a talk of Didat is more influential on him. Even I don't agree 100% with Didat. Maybe this. You say, oh, I told him the message. There's a messenger. I did not interact. He smiled and went. He's rejecting.
But what's the messenger's job in first place? Isn't it to call for Tawheed?
He told you, remind. You are only a reminder.
Reminder of what?
That I am a messenger of Allah, and this is the Quran, these my evidences. And they interact with him.
Yes, but before that, I cannot go to a person who doesn't believe in Quran to convince him that Allah.
No. You are mistaken again. The Quran, the text is in front of him. and see, get me a contradiction. Go and study it.
Yeah, Sheikh Muhammad. Okay. I had once, like with a Hindu person. He's a Hindu. He doesn't believe in Quran. How come I can't convince him from Quran?
Well, yeah, very simple. The approach for him will be, in that case, you know what is his background. If you're interested in da'wah, really, not just presenting yourself to the great da'wah. You're interested in da'wah and getting thawab. Is that what you're interested for, or something else? Ask yourself first. You're
يا
interested,
حبيبي يا
assume you're
حبيبي
interested for this. You are
interest
doing it for the sake of Allah. Yeah, I am assuming. Fine. Tell
يا
him.
سيدي يا سيدي
There's a
الرسول ما قال
let you
طلعوني
complete,
ولا
brother.
أحد.
Let you complete. You are stuck in a circle. You never get out until you break it. We say that the Hindu, tell him, you are Hindu because you have scripture. Okay, fine. Show me your scripture, one we get the most authentic. I will show a contradiction in it. And the Quran doesn't show any contradiction. For that, if you are addressing a Hindu who's well educated, so the common Hindu is very simple, much simpler, but you have to hide the correct angle for him. You cannot, if you want to be that and having a thought, because knowing if you guide only one is better than dunya ma'aliha. Yeah, you want this reward.
Exactly. That's what I want.
Exactly. You get it. You get it if you do the job properly. You don't get it for the cheap. You ought to get it cheaply. First, when a Hindu say, "Oh, these idols," they start swearing, and they just think that's not da'wah.
No, that's not da'wah. No.
Yeah. Just check how can I do da'wah more efficiently, instead of saying, okay, I give da'wah someone, I given him da'wah for 10 years, he did not come to his senses and so on, so I give up on him and start cursing him in Bahat at least. That's not the way which will get you the reward. Maybe from these people you are meeting, one will embrace Islam and become an asset for Islam, and then you get the reward. You got all his good deeds until he dies recorded to you. What do you want more? Instead of saying, is he going to Jannah or going to Nar? Allah, why are you letting him that? Allah knows how to manage these things. It says clearly in آخر سورة الأعلى أو الغاشية, فذكر إنما أنت مذكر لست عليهم بمسيطر. You have dominance over it. No, you don't have. You're just a reminder. But those who did not embrace, turn away and don't embrace, Allah knows who really turned away genuinely and did not accept, and knows their internal diseases, external, if there's a real handicap or not. He knows all excuses. You don't need to present him with excuses. He knows better than you, if you are a true believer. فيعذب الله العذاب الأكبر. Don't worry about that. It's none of your business.
Sheikh, do you do open Q&A in Arabic?
Do
you do any open Q&A in the Arabic channels?
No, we have sometimes, Khamisiyya. Some people come with questions.
Okay, because it might help.
This came several times. I told the people this is a satanic trap. It diverts you from the real da'wah.
Because then that way, if there's any language barrier between communication, you'll have the opportunity. Okay, and to move on, inshallah, another brother's got a question. Let me ask.
Yes, one more question.
Okay, last one, yeah?
Yeah, قال الله تعالى أم نجعل الذين آمنوا وعملوا الصالحات كالمفسدين في الأرض أم نجعل المتقين كالفجار. ما هو الفرق بين المتقي والمؤمن ولماذا فرق الله بينهما؟
فرق بين الله مذكور بين المهتدي والمتقي بنصوص القرآن الأخرى.
What is the difference between المتقي and the believer, and why did Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mention them separately?
A believer is the one who has the basic faith, which he has a basic attribute of muttaqi. But when the Quran mentions muttaqi with certain praise, that meaning someone who has the basic taqwa, because having the faith, protecting yourself from Allah's wrath, with basic faith is the first step of protection. But having faith is not maximum. The maximum is higher. You become a muttaqi, you become Siddiq. There's various ranks. You ascend in these ranks. But there's a fine issue of ranks of the heart and so on. We are talking here in this tafsir, what is the basic ground floor? And the rest is a kutub of raqa'iq and so on. So get to that. The other people you are doing, or the Muslims who are fajr or committing sins publicly, because you're not supposed to spy on them secretly, but publicly, to get them there, at least to avoid these kaba'ir, to avoid the haram and especially the kaba'ir, and do the wajibat by persuasion, by education, by whatever. If you get there, then you don't know that if they're muttaqeen and so on and so on. Yeah. But if you read the ayah, it will give you hints where it goes. But this is a question of ranks of the heart and so on. A very difficult question anyway. But if you go to the basic is clear. It's basically clear. Okay.
Well, let's go to the next question. The brother who's asked to unmute, you can unmute. Fire away.
Yeah, assalamu alaikum, Sheikh Kharash. Everything good?
Alhamdulillah.
Alhamdulillah, Sheikh. So, Sheikh, I just want to come back to what you said about the kursi and the waters. So, Sheikh, you said that it's not materialistic, but I have like some suggestion for you, and I want your point of view on that. Why can't we like see that like as both of them like materialistic and not like maybe Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala exists in like multiple dimensions. Maybe we can't imagine that. Maybe
Yeah,
like
so don't go to it unless you are able to imagine it or give a proper interpretation. That's what I'm saying. Don't do
yeah,
it for
exactly, Sheikh. Yeah. Because it feels like Muslims like are stuck on that. Like they need like to be right about this thing exactly like how it is.
No.
Maybe it's just like it's there like for us like to have like some abstract idea, and that's it. Because maybe we don't have the mental capacity.
Because
to
the
imagine.
majority, brother, the majority of human beings do not have the capability of such abstraction. Go to a building or a cowboy, will not have this abstraction. You use this materialistic to bring a certain idea in his mind. That's it.
Yeah, I get
The moment he starts digging there, unless you do the digging correctly, like in the case of throne and so on, and mounting the throne, I think the Ashari got it almost right. You will end in a never-ending nightmare. So we don't know what's the arsh in the first place. The first question we say, we know what's the arsh meaning. Never said what arsh meaning in language. Somehow they take it as given. No, it's not given even. Concerning Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Concerning kings, you know what's it. But they went in that direction, and because they have dispute with the Mu'tazila, and they came with the formula غير تأويل ولا تشبيه ولا تكييف ولا تمثيل, and ended in something which is completely nonsensical. Does not benefit the people to have a mental image giving a core meaning, nor it ends in utter confusion.
Yes, Sheikh. So it's exactly like you said. Like if you go in either direction, you will get like stuck. So just let like the question be open. Like God.
Yeah, but sometimes people will ask about it. So you have, and they ask in time past, and the problem is open. Now you cannot close it. It has been open. So you have to give some reasonable answer showing what have achieved in the past. And so that's it. I wouldn't open it to anybody.
Sheikh, excuse me, just an example. Like for example, when people say, where is Allah? And the people say...
I discussed that very many times.
Yes, exactly. So my answer would be like, Allah is everywhere He wants to be. That's it. Don't try to
you don't think Allah. So. Look what the Quran says. وهو الله في السماء والأرض وهو معكم أينما كنتم. Include from that whatever you want. بس. وهو معكم أينما كنتم. Anywhere كنتم.
Yeah.
Does it mean He's not with you and is not aware about you and doesn't know about you if you are in the law? No, it is. He was with you there also. Whatever the idea seems offensive to you. خلاص, finished. No need for discussion. So if the Salafi come at the door of the masjid, ask a poor Pakistani, where's Allah? They say, everywhere. He's in the bathroom. No, He's in heaven. And they bring the hadith of the mute girl and all these things, and even the worst narration of it and so on. Why test the people with this question? Psychologically feel that Allah is where He's معنا أينما كنا. It's enough.
I agree, Sheikh. I agree. That's why I'm saying yes. Yes, this is a
I mentioned that, brother. I mentioned that many times. That people open it, and we have to lambast them. The one who opened it, the one staying at the doors of the masjid, that ask common people, where is it? The bathroom. That's what I attacked. Anything else I didn't attack. Yeah, that's it.
Okay.
I think the fundamental point is this: that to make this an issue to attack the Ummah with, and it's not something that we're obliged to have an adoption on. The problem
even we are discouraged from that. This is burdening the people and causing them to go into fitna. Even in something which is physically feasible and so on. When Mu'adh ibn Jabal prayed with the people, he was an imam for them. He prayed with the first time, so he go as an imam, leading them because he's the best Quran memorizer of them. This family, at least in this sub-tribe. Anyway, And then one day he started Baqarah. The people are tired, they want to go to sleep, and they want to irrigate their palm trees. So a man, the matter became impossible. Don't read Al-Baqarah, especially in Isha. You read Sab'ah Mara'ad and so on. So the man left. When Mu'adh made salam, say, who is this guy? He started salat with us. He made salam, completed salat, third one say, innahu munafiq, he's a munafiq. That's the translation of Mu'adh. And then the man was upset about that. Went to Messenger of Allah, we are living by handiwork. And if we don't work, we die. We cannot support our families. Mu'adh prayed, led with Baqarah. It was impossible for me to wait. I was almost dead, and I needed to irrigate the Nakhil. So I went and finished my salah and went. And he called me munafiq. That's his objection. Not that. Instead of saying, he did well, I should not have been said, recognizing that. Although he's one of the most knowledgeable Sahaba. So even the most knowledgeable have to refer to the infallible. So I invited Mu'adh, and he said, I never said the Messenger of Allah as angry as this moment. Say, Fattan Anta, causing people fitna, you're diverting away from Islam. Don't go along. Some people behind you have business to do. Some people have necessities. Some women have children who start crying. Just make it a habit. سبح اسم ربك الأعلى الغاشية. Everyone will tolerate that. It's no problem. No 1 minute extra. And if you're praying alone, then go as long as you wish. What's this? The same here. That's even worse. This is salah, and time is everyone conceive for us the necessity and so on. Now we get the people in something which is dark and very difficult to do. Based on one hadith nobody understood properly. First of all, the girl who said, وَأَيْنَ اللَّهُ وَأَنَا أَنَا. This is a mute girl. If you read the full hadith, not the abridged version, and they made a mountain out of it. So they should not do imtihan to the people. You for yourself and for more scholarly evidence say, oh, but some people came from Yemen and say themselves, this troublesome question. أين كان ربنا قبل خلق السماوات والأرض? They know in the خلق السماوات there's a different problem, but قبل خلق السماوات والأرض, we know there's nothing goes in eternity. He's the only one there. Nothing is there except him. So how to describe this fact to them? There's no time, and even in eternity, in Azal, there's no time. It's running. So what is the description which people can understand? Even a Bedouin may understand. And other people can deduce from philosophical deep thought. He said, كان في عماء. Now, the word عماء, I did not check exactly. I think عماء is the desert at night when someone can go lost. There's no sign guiding you. So it's unstructured, blind place, dark place. ما فوقه هواء وما تحت هواء. Is this above Allah something below? هواء meaning nothingness. So he's in nothingness. There's no space. Because space is about to be something. Some attribute of something or something independent by itself. It's not possible to be independent from itself because only Allah is there. Unless you follow Newton and say Allah is the absolute space. It's another name of Allah, which have certain merits, but leave this at the side. And Hawa cannot be something the air we know, because this is something which had been created later. Part of the Sama and Ard. Now the Bedouin say, oh, like in a desert, darkness, we don't know. We don't know. Yeah, it's in unstructured space. That's the best what a camel driver or a cowboy can get to. A philosopher will point out, oh, there's no absolute space. If we call absolute space, it's just another name of God, or like Newton concluded, or there's no space. There's nothing except Allah. That's philosophy a little bit deeper.
Why don't we consider like another dimension? For example, if this thing exists
maybe,
in like
dimensions,
maybe Allah exists in
brother, the people ask أين كان ربنا, talking about the space.
Yeah.
No, they are not talking about another dimension at that time. If the issue of dimension and the length and so on, other dimensions are present or known to anybody in the world that time, we say, we know Allah is not in our dimension. And which dimension is? They didn't ask us, أين كان ربنا?
It's just an idea, Sheikh. Maybe he exists.
The same question, brother. If the people asking are living at that time, talking.
Yeah.
When you say, أين بيت الناظر, تقول لك في فلسطين. If I ask anybody, just ask you which dimension, in which country. It seems to, in their mind, he is somehow in the universe after creation. Somehow spread. We don't know what's the concept of Allah. The Bible did not dig about that. Because everyone have his own imagination. As Allah, he's a absolute is the only one and only. And before creation of heavens and earth, creating the creation, he's the only being which is existing in eternity. That's all that we can know. And even that has to be so expressed very, very cautiously. When you say, "Kan Allah wa lam yakun shay'un qablahu," that's the most, you say most narration like that, but some narrations say "ma'ahu aw 'indahu." It's all equivalent. But you have to be, when you interpret now, you have to be cautious. "Lam yakun shay'un qablahu." What does it mean? Using the word qablahu is impossible. There is no qabl. That qabl, which is shay, something, is an impossibility. It's just a deception of the language. But if we're going now deep in something, we should have avoided. But this brother opened issue with these. No, don't open it. And if you want a little bit there, in Kitab Tawheed, inshallah, in the next edition, I try to avoid that, even in Qadr, but it seems to be there's no avoidable. Someone wrote, at least we have to address like something like 9 pages about the divine freedom and the fundamental decision at the beginning of the universe and the impossibility to solve the so-called. Although I started with the issue of there and so on, of what the people call evil is not necessarily evil, but the suffering is definitely there from a human point of view. So we have to add a little bit more in the next edition. I try to keep it simple as possible, generally, without going into these extremely philosophical, deep things, relying on the people's natural perception of the reality as around us. And start from there, we go there bit by bit.
Talking of Qadr,
as dictated by necessities and necessity of mathematics.
Talking of Qadr, there's been a bit of back and forth in the chat. I can't keep track of it. So for the people who are discussing the issue of Qadr, next week is an open Zoom. You can discuss. A lot of the stuff has already been discussed in quite a few. So if you're not attending regularly, you may not be aware of it. So a lot of the questions have been answered. And really, but can't. Now,
for advice for these brothers, go to the previous edition of Tafseer, and some of them have. Just give it to Gemini or ChatGPT, or say, in this episode, does it contain any significant discussion about Qadar and predestination and divine free will and human free will or not? If you scan it quickly and tell you what it does contain, from a minute, so cut me these as a separate MP3 or videos, and then accumulate to yourself your own library and go through it and bring structured questions. This will not settle be one position and one ayah. If you try that, you will end in hell.
But the other thing is also it's impossible to run a live session and monitor the Zoom with back and forth.
Yeah,
and I mean, look, we provide a facility for people to ask directly.
What I'm saying, we are now in an age where we have the artificial can get you things which if you flip through the videos, you take a year. It can get you in, if you devote 1 week, if it's so important for you, and go all through the video and just ask this question.
Yeah, if you're serious to do this, if it's just for bragging rights, then that's up to you.
Yeah, yes.
I'm not there to indulge
benefit the brothers.
I'm not here to indulge people just wanting to sound.
No, I'm not indulging. I'm saying for yourself. And then if you volunteer to get generous to us, put it in the muntada. I did that and found these and these episodes from the 100 halaqah. How many halaqahs now? Over 100.
Tafseer, 245.
225. I found maybe anyway, it's 4 years. I found maybe 15 halaqahs what address this point to any extent, not just a word and so on. And the cuts are this and this and this, even that, and give the information to the people as a charity. But first, serve yourself. You have to benefit from whatever Allah brings of new tools, step by step.
Okay, next question. I'm going to move on to somebody asked a question before. Okay, so this one might be a bit tenuous. So a brother sent he sent a link to a chat where, so this is on this is allegedly a narration where it says so I can't find the original reference. There are reference to it being authenticated by Ahmed bin Hanbal and others, but I can't find the original. So no, it's not. I can't find anything. So
no, what's the narration?
Okay. So the following narration is the following. So this is from a question that's been asked. it's in Bayhaqi. I saw my Lord in Al-Asma, my Lord. So it's in Al-Asma wa Sifat in Bayhaqi.
Yeah. Okay,
With the
correct.
sound
I saw
change.
my Lord, yeah. Mhm.
In the form of a curly-haired, beardless young man wearing a green thobe. So that's the narration.
So what's the problem with that? That's a dream.
A dream. Okay. So the brother who's asked me a question that let me just bring this on my WhatsApp. Give me a second. So put more context to that. So this was narrated by Ahmed bin Hanbal in
Don't worry, we know
Tabrani,
this
I think.
hadith. Assume it's right out. Yeah. What's
Okay.
the problem in that?
If all this happened in a dream, how is it acceptable for these people that God comes in the form of the man of a dream, in the form of a man in a dream?
He came to the messenger of Allah this way. That's it.
So the majority of Sunni scholars accept that God can be seen in dream, but not in a manifestation in person.
What do you mean manifestation in person? In dream, he's manifesting himself to the seer with this image. Another one, he manifests himself as another image. Simple. So what's the issue there?
So there's nothing unequivocal to say that Allah cannot manifest himself to people in a dream as a person.
But even outside the dream, by projecting a hologram or making you see something in your mind and make millions of people see the same thing, or at the same time, some people see an angry person, angry lion, and some see the soft, nice, that good people will see him nicely, and the other ugly at the same time. He's the one creating that in your mind, or putting the hologram bar outside. That's within the divine power. That's it. You cannot see the divine essence. It's impossible. It's another type of being. It's an existing being. Not similar to anything in the creation. There's a completely shape. So he has to, when scripture come with this, it tell you about projection, which is within his power. That's all. How he projects himself, the way he chooses.
So irrespective, it could be a strong hadith, it could be a weak hadith. It doesn't matter. It doesn't negate anything.
It's irrelevant.
Yeah, doesn't negate anything.
The whole question is getting you in a direction which is represent nothing. It represents only something for these who say, oh, no, really he saw his Lord himself. No, that's how he presented in dream.
I think because the brother who sent it to me, it was in reference to Mufti Abu Layth. So Mufti Abu Layth does often critique a lot of Sahih hadith. So if maybe
it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter in this one. It doesn't matter. That's in dream. And even the hadith which many people find offensive. Say when they go toward Jannah or Nar or something like that, that's intermediate. I don't know how authentic it is. It says, then he starts on the bridge to the hellfire or something, and ثاني ركبته, like a man standing and so on, and then he has prostrate for me. They say, نعوذ بالله منك. You know, the Lord we saw before in the accounting. Then he smiles and come back with the hadith is clear. Come back in the shape they saw him before. They say, I know that you will pass the test. Authentic is irrelevant. That's the way he presented himself before and after. Yeah. So this is all, you're going in a circle, never ending. Yeah.
All right, I've got another question. Okay, before we move on, so just so this one's okay. So I just want to get your opinion on this.
Mm-hmm.
So the context is this: recently, there have been a number of Islamophobes some have been valid debaters and some have been very vitriolic in attacks on Islam.
Okay, doesn't matter what is they are. Yeah. What's
so
the
if you know someone who is an Islamophobe and regularly mocks the deen, so for example, there's a guy called God Logic, or I would like to call him Knob Logic.
Mm-hmm.
He regularly attacks Islam. He regularly attacks the Prophet & and then recently somebody went there for a debate with him. He's a kind of like a Salafi stroke Madkhali type, and he got a lot of flack for this.
Mm-hmm. Flack for going or for the debate, she obviously
for going for indulge, because most people kind of agreed to boycott this individual. But however, he went along and had a debate with him. What's your stance on this? Should these should these people who do habitually mock Islam be
It
boycotted?
doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. You have to follow what he has said, analyze it, and prepare a proper answer. And if you are a Salafi, avoid, because you will not be capable to answering these people.
No, some of
You
these
start-
Salafis can actually go toe to toe with them. Maybe on some issues they may be deficient.
Maybe
but-
in some issues, but I don't think they are not qualified. And unfortunately, very few people are qualified for that.
There are some Salafis who are very, very qualified on this, you know, in terms of
Yeah,
very-
okay. If you
yeah.
think and you have analyzed things, have the proper answer and the possible counter because you followed him, then go.
But if
The
it's
fact
somebody
that
who
the cat is negative and swearing and so on, you go and don't swear.
Mhm.
Make him.
but if he starts to mock the deen, you just walk away, yeah?
Hmm?
If on that occasion, if you're there and he starts to mock, then you must leave, yeah?
Yeah, they say yeah.
Okay. But in principle, there is no overarching prohibition to go engage with them just because they may or may not say something.
No, definitely not. Otherwise, we say you're alive with people who are worse than that.
Okay, that's a good point.
That's just nonsense. That's an unnecessary question. The
Mhm.
question: don't go there until you are really qualified.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, one of the things is this, though. However, I think the reason why this particular individual got so much slack, so much attack, is because they're not consistent. They will say, "Don't go with a mubtadi." They put the line at a
But
mubtadi, they can go to a kafar.
Do you say mubtadi' meaning going to a debate or going to?
No. What I'm saying that reason this person got attacked so much is because he's a Salafi, and Salafis are the ones who will not even go to sit with another Muslim to discuss because they're mubtadi, yet they go to a kafir who's insulting us.
The answer
Yeah.
to that's very simple. These who have this show that the Salafi who established this madhab, they are bankrupt. They have no answer, so they run away from the debate. That's it. Because they claim that to don't sit with the mubtadi' is their own invention. It never came from Prophet ﷺ, nor from Sahaba, nor from anybody. First one who's famous for this is that Ayyub Sakhtiyani. He met with a man he called mubtadi', and he wanted to argue with him, most likely about fighting a rule or something like that. Most likely, that's the reason. And then he told, then Ayyub Sakhtiyani hurried away. And the man said, just one word, say 1 to even half word. And don't listen to mubtadi', they may put doubts in your heart. It's clearly lifting that white flag. He has no argument. If he had argument, he would stood there. This is that they say that until you stop that, you are declaring your own bankruptcy. I don't need to discuss with you any issue until the issue say mubtadi', what you call bid'ah and so on. And they prove to you that you are the mubtadi', not them, for example. Yeah, for example. That's all just to block their follower, usually simple-minded, basic people. I don't want to injure them, but who never studied, who decided to hand their brain to someone else to manage their behalf. And then they tell you, don't sit with them, it may put doubt in your heart, it is a disease, and so on. And they take the story about those who did not go to the battlefield and say, Allah, because of their negligence, and they admitted that, the Messenger of Allah punished them, because no. He punished them because while the one who came and made an oath that they had, he prayed for them and made istighfar for them. But these who are honest and so on express that they have no excuse and so on, and they say Allah has to judge your case, because from the beginning it was clear that Prophet make it obligatory for everyone to come unless he has an excuse. And the Quran describes the case, and they make qiyas on that. This hajr mubtadi'. It's not hajr mubtadi'. This is a specific punishment for someone who failed to do a duty, a clear, well-defined duty. It has nothing to do with creed, it has nothing to do with ibtida'. Yeah.
Okay.
Because in the Battle of Tabuk, he announced everyone should rally. If anyone has an excuse, he should come to me first and bring his excuse. These did not have an excuse. So when the ones who did not attend, especially the leader and big people, the fat people, came to him after Canberra and came with a late excuse. After the army, I was preparing and so on, and before going, my wife fell ill. I couldn't come to ask permission before. And they make an oath that's true. So they say, Allah say, okay, if that's true, may Allah forgive you and so on. Knowing that they are munafiq kadibin by wahy. But he never confronted them with that, because there's not a job to confront anybody with this. They said that it has to be accepted. But the one who came said, we are negligent, we did not do what should be. I was no Ka'b ibn Malik, I have not such a health ever. I was so healthy and everything perfect, but I kept delaying, postponing, preparing. So I'm healthy enough, I can prepare everything. And then when the day of the Pasha came, I did not prepare anything. I was unable. Then I thought, oh, let me get my preparations, don't catch them. But there were some problems getting some goods or some weapons or something like, because people were supplying themselves and so on. And then the time became so big that it was impossible for me to join the army. Inshallah said, this one is telling the truth, not like the liar before. Since you have violated the initial command with no excuse, thus Allah judge is that suspend judgment about you until Allah brings command. It's not bid'ah or anything. This is failing to do a duty which was established before that with certitude. That's not being mubtadi' or not mubtadi', being really negligent, sinful. And for them, Allah then just postpone them. I know what I will do with them. That's it. And later came the forgiveness for them. It's as simple as that. They say they base their ajr mubtadi' based on that, which is what the stinkiest of chaos you can ever imagine. There's no common ground to compare this with this. Let alone illah, there's no illah absolutely. This is something different. That's not bid'ah. This is a clear sin. So
Okay.
something
Just another.
if you attack Salaf, you want to crowd, yes, but I would advise any Salaf, if you are not firm really, if that's your level of thinking like this, Abdul Sakhtiyani and so on, then abstain from this. Because not because it will put doubt in your heart, because you will fail. Many people who are listening, because you got to a debate, especially a public debate, so the people listening will benefit from it at least. That should be your intention. If you're going to brag and so on, to the hell with that. You'll never succeed, even if you have the best arguments in the world.
Okay, one very quick question. I know you've answered something similar to this before. I mean, obviously, I can't go because there's so many videos. I can't go back and reconstruct and go do all the timestamps.
No, tell the people the videos they should do it. You have ChatGPT and Gemini will do the job for you.
Yeah. But the thing is, obviously, to go through, not all the videos are back up online, so it's gonna be hard to find whichever one it is. So this one is meat acquired from a halal animal, but not slaughtered in a halal manner invalidated, as in the means of slaughter, especially in a case where the slaughter process is unknown or is known to be through stunning.
Leave unknown. That's the trap of the devil again. But if a Muslim does the slaughtering, then we can assume it's right, or the one of the people of the book. That's it. Let's go back to the original question. Slaughtering, meaning the animal died by himself. Or died without mentioning the name of Allah deliberately, leaving it deliberately. This is the ayah is clear in that. What do you mean halal animal? This is applying to halal animals, not applying to khanzir or anything prohibited by itself. Because if the thing is prohibited by itself is not slaughterable. There's no tadhkiyah for it. Whatever you do, it will never become dhaki. The same with the dead. Simple. So the question is oddly placed. What do you mean slaughter property? Maybe the procedure some people in India think is the correct one? No. Something which shed the blood with the name of Allah mentioned, if remembered. If not, then we assume it is in his heart anyway. If someone to tell him, say Bismillah and refuse to say, that's khalas. He's refusing to say. And the ayah because some of the mushrikeen were leaving the name of Allah deliberately in certain animals because they devoted to the idols or to something else. So that's out of question.
So if a Muslim slaughters, in a way, like he stuns it and it dies, is it still halal, or does it have to be?
If it really definitely have died, yes. But who said the stunning died? Make them die. This is all going beating around the same bush and getting yourself in trouble. For example, one of the tabi'in was asked by someone, I witnessed Christian slaughtering and they slaughter in the name of Isa. Say, oh, they do that? That's the standard? Say, because it's not a standard by the Christian Bible. Is that a standard? Say yes. Then that must be known to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Are you going to second guess Allah? طعام الذين أوتوا الكتاب حل لكم. That's it. He knows that they say the name of Isa. So just shut up. Accept Allah's command. Don't second guess Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. I think this fatwa of this tabi is the correct one. And another one, say, I go to the market, I don't know which one. Say, you know that the Muslims have their market, and because they have separate markets. And the Christian have separate. What you find in the Muslim markets, eat and don't ask, because this will open the door of waswasa and extremism. And in the markets of the people of the book, eat and don't ask. In the market of the mushrikeen, there will be mushrikeen, majus and so on. Don't go there and don't eat. Simple. Simple. Then time developed, especially in the subcontinent, because the majority of people are mushrikeen. Yeah, we know that. That's the reason why it started emerging. Then became an obsession, became a new deen.
Okay, that's good.
Yeah.
Just let me just see. There's some other thing.
Yeah, to get all evidences, all things, and get out of the extremism idea and getting stuck in imaginary world. And especially going to deep question, which can be grasped only by philosophers. Then whatever comes in face value looks like tajseem or like space-time and things like that. Take it at face value. Leave the detailed explanation if necessary, if it's needed. It's usually never needed. But sometimes they give us keys also. Quran gave us keys, like the amazing key about the time, which may differ as well. Anyway, let's go to other things. Otherwise, this will never end. It will have to be addressed from various angles and so on. And then got stuck like a disease.
I've got some pending questions, but I think because they're going to be quite long, we can suspend them for next week. Let me see if there's anyone else.
Next week is only a question answer. Okay. Now we go to the...
Okay. Sorry, last question. I'll let the brother unmute now, but we're going to have to go to Palestine updates shortly.
What's the time now?
It's 4:50.
We should, get the last question quickly, inshallah.
Yes, Assalamu alaikum, Sheikh. It's me again. It's a quick question about shorts in, beaches shorts. So, Sheikh, what do you think about, those kind of shorts? Like you said, is it like something that Muslim go too much into details, or is there really strict laws about that?
No, it's a question of the fakhad. What's the meaning? One hadith say fakhad awra, and one hadith the dress, the thawb of Messenger of Allah, the qamis, he was sitting, and then it flips backward and exposed his fakhad. Obviously, the bottom part of the fakhad. It didn't express the top part, which should go all the way to the end of the bottom, to the end of what's called hip bone. The awra is from the beginning of the hip bone, which is shows in the back as a bum, up to the navel. Then is the end of the top bar. So the bum area, which is defined well by the end of the joints and the structure of the hip. Yes. That's a strict awra. That's what is mentioned بين السرة ما بين السرة والركبة عورة. Mentioning don't look at that for you, slave girl, the moment you married her to someone else. That area is off limit for you, because you removed your ownership for her body to someone else. Now he is the owner by marital contract. Off. You have no right to look there.
But this is for males wearing it. Is this for males wearing this?
It's the same for male and female. It's essentially it boils to that. So Ibn Hazm denied the hadith of Fakhad being authentic, Jarhad ibn Abi Jarhad, but I don't think there's need to take that. So he insisted only the sawatain, the anus and the genital itself, which is rather quite difficult really to locate unless you have something like the Brazilian bikini for men, or that what these Japanese Japanese
sumo
wrestlers, something like that. I would say avoid that, at least in public life. Just from short up to there. That's good enough.
Okay, Sheikh. So between the knees and the hips, just a short, normal short.
In between. But the Islam usually put awra from joint to joint. So when say between knee and navel, in between is awrah. Where is in between? Where is in between? Exactly at this point, no. The hadith of the Messenger of Allah showing his abathai exposed, because the dress, the hadith says the dress was pulled back because he was moving in such a way, so it pulled back and exposed part of his fakhr. There's nothing what's part. It did not extend to the genital. So we say, where is this part which is awrah really from the fakhr? The only marker of it is the end of the hip, where the bum turns like that. You know the difference with it. That's the limit which you have to stop there. Between that and the knee, there is no clear marker. So you can see half of the fakhr, 2/3, and so on. No, that's the limit, sharp limit, and you can't touch it. Touch by yourself.
Yes, I know.
Where the fakhr ends, your bum starts. Should I be clearer than that? And if you go around, you find this is the end of the hip downwards. And if you go to a surah, 1 inch below that, or maybe 1 centimeter, if you go in the back, okay, the surah, you go back, you find you ending at the top of the hip. So it's the hip bone. That's the whatever above it is the strict awrah, and the rest is not for men. And for women, obviously, in public life is different. Obviously, they have a larger awrah.
Sheikh, do you know about this hadith about like there is a man who was praying at the masjid of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and there is like a woman who saw like some part of the awrah of some man, like he was like praying like in front of her. So she went.
No, this is a funny story.
This is the young child, isn't it?
No, this is the funny story. This is a child. It was a child, and when they received from Allah that who should lead the salah, it says clearly. That's their ijtihad, their simple mind. I think the ijtihad is faulty there. But anyway, he said the imam should be the one who have more Quran, memorize more Quran, because these people even not scholarly. It's just very, very far away Bedouins. So they ask everyone how much Quran you know when they embrace Islam. Everyone have only one ayah, half ayah, even barely the Fatiha. And this boy used to be shepherding for his family at the water well along the way, and many Sahaba were passing and they're praying there and so on. So he memorized a number of surahs. So they say, found him the mosque. They say, we have applied Messenger of Allah command as it face, which is good. They did it. But he had a qamis, a very short qamis. They were so poor, a qamis, that when he made sujood, it goes up, so exposed the awrah. Or nearby, anywhere to go. So a woman back praying in the line said, can you stop us looking at the awrah of your imam and say with the word ust, us, blatantly. So this is the problem, what to do there. So they collected money, so poor they are, and bought him a qamis which goes almost to the ankle or to the girl. So when I wore the qamis, I was so proud. I was going in the hal in our tribal area, showing them the nice dress I have. That's it. That's all far away from Sayyidina Allah. And I would say the ijtihad is not bad. So, but the woman said clearly, "Suddu anna usta imamikum hada." Just block away the ust, which is the arse of your imam. So the poor guys know that you're going to show the arse, but that's only in sujood.
But wait, Sheikh, from what I remember, she went to the Prophet and he just told her.
No. This is your imagining. No, they were far away from Prophet.
Okay.
He mentioned the story, and they was proud going around. A small child, 7-10 years. That's exactly. That's it. And we have no evidence that Absallah heard about that and says anything of it. Most likely it is okay. But shows before that, if a qamis is so short that it's above the knee, so it's almost half qamis, almost like a top is a shirt or something else. So in the case of sujood, it pulls up so that the awrah mughallada is visible, meaning they don't have any information that any other places is awrah, meaning half the fakhr most likely is not awrah. So this has to be balanced very much. I think the problem with our Salafi in Najd, they obsessed with that and make it a big issue, like the issue with beard. They made a huge issue.
Exactly, Sheikh. Yeah, that's why I'm asking the question.
To the tune that the later one in the 2-3 centuries say, shaving the way like the makhanith, the homosexual of Maghreb. Makhanith. So even insulting the view that they are mukhannas. Mukhannas means who is neither man nor female, usually meaning the bottom one of homosexuality. Ayadan billah. So mutual insult. People enjoy this disease. That's the disease of self-righteousness. I am the saved one. I'm the correct one. Everyone is low.
Just one very quick one before we go to Q&A, particularly the pattern update. Regarding swimming in a family with beaches where there's mixed female and male presence, would that be permissible? As in, so because there's aura being on show?
You're responsible for covering your aura, what the other are doing. And first of all, they have the guilt. So if we assume that a Muslim woman will not be in a mixed thing like that, and there are no Muslim women here, unless the one who is not practicing anyway, they're not praying anyway. The others will go, the day is allocated for some bath for women alone.
No, it's swimming in the beaches, in the public beach.
Yeah, you're responsible for the others.
Yeah, and also you just try to avoid looking at them if you're a man.
So in that case, it's for aura mughallada anyway. It's for aura mughallada.
But bikinis does expose quite a bit, doesn't it?
Depending upon what I think it's better to in that case just turn your face away, and the aura is there, not really the top list is not violating Islamic aura. It's be shocking for the Western people that not. And the bikini, especially the Brazilian one, is catastrophic really for women, kafir or Muslim, most likely. Shia have a point of view that a kafir is having no aura. She has no honor. Aura is a honoring for the Muslim woman, it's not for the kafir. But the better point of view is that also a kafir in public life is obliged to at least having from half thigh up like a man. Based on complicated evidence related to the people circumambulating the Kaaba with is longer evidence. It's a complex one. And okay. This is only invoked if you see what the public aura which will be prevented by the state regarded as a violation of the public order. It is this one only.
Okay, so basically, long story short, you know, obviously, in principle, there's no such thing as free mixing, and general injunction.
Oh, this is nonsense. So this is all nonsense. We finished with that long ago. We finished.
So it's down. Ultimately the hukum is if you're permitted to be there, but just avoid. It's down to you how you avoid looking at the aura. It's like going to the local high street. There's aura on display there as well most of the time.
And turning your Ali ibn Abi Talib asked this question: what to do with nadar al-faj'a, an accidental look? The Messiah said, obviously, he's asking about women because Medina at the time, most women and so on. You're going maybe because the people are doing the necessity somewhere but outside. So you may find a woman doing that in her own garden, and you're surprised seeing the aura, maybe completely naked or something, at least the bottom part to do her necessity, because they don't have, as a general rule, they don't have toilets at home. They have to go outside. Or women usually go at night, but sometimes there's a necessity to go quickly. So you suddenly see that. What to do, Messenger? Say, that's it. Simple. That's it. But leave that to another lengthy discussion, inshallah. Yeah.
Okay. All right. I'll stop the stream now.
I have a considerable writing, but did not complete it yet. I regard that it's not a major priority. Leave it.